We are going live right now, ladies. All right. We are live. Ladies, you guys ready?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another session of the Double Cop Podcast. You guys already know my name is Will. I am the host of this show. We have a great topic and show for you guys tonight. We have a great panel of guests. If you guys are watching this right now for the very first time, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for all my supporters out there, people who love and support, always send me positive feedback to my channel. Much love, you guys. Thank you so much. Gotta give a special horn out to all my subscribers out there. Thank you so much for all the love and support. As you guys can see, we have a full panel of beautiful ladies and intellectual ladies joining us tonight, and we're gonna have some great conversations and hot topics to discuss tonight. I do have a disclaimer real quick for everybody out there under the age of 18. Here's my disclaimer.
This content is not suitable for the children under the age of 18 without adult supervision. Please be advised.
All right, so everybody out there under the age of 18, I have to let you know this is mature and adult conversations. That is why it's called After Dark. So if you're under the age of 18, I need you to go to sleep right now. But nevertheless, welcome to the podcast, guys. Don't forget, it is a live show. So everybody, we have a live chat. I always appreciate everybody out there tuning in every single night, always dropping your perspectives, opinions based on the things that we're going to share tonight. So always get that live chat going. Let's get that live chat going, guys. Drop the dolls. Let me know what you guys think. Also, don't forget, it is a public show. So one of the biggest promoters I do on this panel and platform, I want to promote open dialogue for everybody. So whether you're watching this right now, whether you agree or disagree, I invite you guys to be part of the conversation. If you have something to say to me or the guests, I'll post the public Zoom link right now in the live chat. Just click on the link. And there will be a time throughout the show, I'll let you in. So just be patient. If you jump on, just be patient and be ready. And when I do allow you to come in, just be ready to add on the conversation. Just be respect the platform, the guests, and me as a host, and be able to participate and be part of the conversation. But nevertheless, that's pretty much all my YouTube stuff. Like I said, if you love the channel, I'm definitely gonna drop all these ladies' social media platforms and IG and everything everything that they have on social media on the description below. So if you guys want to follow them, please follow all these beautiful ladies. But nevertheless, let's get this show started. Ladies, if you guys can go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick. What's your name? What's your age? What do you do? And what is your relationship status for everybody out there that's watching this right now? And I'll start with you, Golden. Go ahead, Golden. Introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, my name is Golden Zero, but you can call me Damia. I am an intuitive psychic reader. I specialize in lunology, psychology, astrology. I am 18 years old and I am taken.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much. All right, I'm very interested to get your psychic reading. Everybody that's watching this right now be in a relationship by the end of 2022. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for jumping on, Golden. I'll pass it on to Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kaitlyn. I'm 21 years old. I'm a student right now at California State University, Northridge. I'm studying psychology, and I'm in a relationship.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, Kaitlyn, thank you for jumping on. I really appreciate you. We're going on to Lauren. Lauren, go ahead. Introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm also 21 years old. I'm also a full-time student. I work freelance in film production, budding, and I've been in a relationship for 3.5 years, and we met online.
Nice. All right. Thank you so much, Lauren, for jumping on short notice. Thank you, Lauren, for jumping on. Appreciate you. And last but not least, Chloe, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chloe. I'm 37. I am a life and spiritual wellness coach, but I specialize in marriages, relationships, singles, dating. I am married, and we do have 4 kids.
All right. Nice. All right. Thank you so much, Chloe. Thank you for jumping on. And ladies, this is the first time I've had a panel where everybody is in a relationship. So I'm going to give a shout out to all you guys. So I'm very interested to hear everybody's opinions, perspectives, since you're all in relationships. Because you guys watch my show, you guys know sometimes it does get heated. It does get heated based on the topics of conversation I have with a lot of the single women. But we have it all everybody on this panel is on a relationship, so appreciate you guys. And yeah, always an advocate for bringing for families and building families. So yeah, keep doing what you guys doing. But ladies, let's go ahead and start the show. So I got a topic I want to discuss, and it's a topic I saw was trending on social media, and I'm sure you guys heard of this term called simp. All right, so I'm sure you guys seen that there's a lot of content for men being simps or women being simps. So my question I want to ask you guys, ladies, men simping, is that attractive to you as a woman? Before you answer that question, I want you to define what simp means to you, and after you define that, so that would just give context. Everybody that's watching, what is simp? What is the definition of simp? What does that mean to you? And also, and then respond. Is it attractive to you as a woman? Now, so I started off with you, Kaitlyn. Go ahead. Start it off.
Okay. Ooh, the nerve. I guess I would say a simp is someone who just like fell really hard for somebody, and that other person might not really reciprocate that back. So they're kind of just like really in their feelings about this person. They're like, oh, why don't they like me back? They're like just trying so hard to do everything that they can for this person, and it's just not really being reciprocated. And for me, I wouldn't really find that attractive because I personally would feel like it kind of just comes off as being desperate. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't be into that. I feel like if somebody likes me and I like them, then I would need that to be reciprocated in order for that to be attractive to me. I mean, if someone fell hard for me and I'm totally feeling them, then yeah, that's totally cool. But if someone's like just like crying over me and just like making a big deal out of me and I'm not feeling them, then it's just like, you gotta just take a step back and just chill, you know?
Okay. Have you ever been with a relationship with a guy or dated a guy before that was a simp?
No, but I've definitely known somebody that was. It was just a really weird dynamic between us.
Okay, no worries. And then why is it not attractive to you when a man is simping or going hard or falling for you easily?
I would just think it's because like if I'm not reciprocating that, then like they should really try to direct that energy somewhere else, because I'm not trying to like feed that back in any way.
Okay. All right, no worries. Okay. All the simps out there, you guys heard Kaitlyn. All right, no worries. Thank you so much, Kaitlyn. I'll pass it on to Golden. Golden, what's the definition of simp? What does it mean to you? And is it attractive to you as a woman?
So my definition of simp, like Kaitlyn said, it's someone who gives you so much gratification and attention and it's not being reciprocated. But simps in modern day is for boys. I don't want to say men. It's for people who show affection and give you time. That's simping to them. And it's actually not. It's just loving a person. So simps aren't attractive. I dealt with a simp before. I've never dated a simp before, but it shows it shows me as a person that you do not value yourself. You should never put a woman before yourself, or you should never put a man before yourself. That should not be your main priority. And especially if someone is not giving you that time of day, that's not okay.
Oh, no worries. Can you list like a specific behavior a man would do as a simp that would show him he doesn't value himself?
I was dealing with this one person. I was friends with this one person. And you guys, girls, you know when you have friends with, or you're friends with opposite sex, and they try to turn this something romantic, even though you're making it very clear that that's not what you want. You just want to be friends. It was something like that. Like I would get like a full like paragraphs after paragraphs. Like you would have to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Wow. Like it was that long. A whole bunch of emojis. I would get gifts out of nowhere, just random gifts just for being alive and stuff. And he'll try to get close to my family, and I did not like that because it was just really weird and made me feel uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable, extremely. So I had to like stop being friends with him and at everything, because he was a cool person, but you're not respecting my boundaries. You're not listening to what I'm saying. It's getting delusional. So I had to just cut him off. And just completely.
And he was trying to get closer to your family. Wow, that's like simping to level 100. All right. Okay, no worries. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. Wow, you say he sent 2 paragraphs after paragraphs?
And emojis, like all the most girliest emojis in the world, all right there, all right
Okay.
there.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much. All right, Lauren.
So for me,
Yeah.
a simp is someone who will literally do anything or say anything for someone in particular. I believe this started coming around like in the past, I'd say 2 or 3 years. I don't really remember it really existing before that. And I see it a lot for celebrities and people who are like micro celebrities on TikTok and Instagram and whatnot. Their male fans will typically be like simps essentially because they do not know this person, but they are like essentially madly in love with them. I don't think it's attractive, but I do think that I probably would think it's flattering, but I wouldn't reciprocate like any feelings towards them. I would think it is flattering though. And I have dealt with like a couple simps, but like I was never really into them. So
Okay. What's like the first thing? What's like a trait that you see that's a red flag? Oh, it's a simp.
anyone who's just like, if you post a photo, they just have to like be in your DMs, like hard eyes and like, oh my God, and this and this and that. And I'm like, I didn't even ask for this. Like, I appreciate you liking it. I mean, but if you're like trying to consistently message about something and like you're obviously not getting replies, I think it's kind of embarrassing, but it's something they don't really realize, I guess.
All right. No worries. All right. Thank you so much, Lauren. Now you guys going hard. Well, for all the simps out there, going hard, all the simps. All right. Thank you so much, Lauren. Appreciate it. And last but not least, I'm gonna go ask our coach and counselor. What's your definition of simping? And is it attractive to you as a woman?
No, not at all. Simp to me is the opposite of an alpha male. So a beta male, just
I like that.
Mhm.
a yes man. Doesn't stand his ground, lets the woman run the show, wear the panties. Pretty much giving husband energy to every woman when, alpha males know who wives are. So they're not going to treat a regular female like a wife, whereas a simp will. A simp can treat a hoe like a wife.
Yeah. Facts. Facts.
So yeah, no, simps are not attractive at all.
All right, no worries. And I know before your marriage, but have you dealt with like simps in the past before you got married?
Talking to, yes. Well, I've known my husband since I was 20. I've been with him since I was 20. So you're talking teenagers.
Got you.
Teenagers don't really know, but being around, but yeah. But the moment somebody starts talking, I know you're a simp.
Yeah, got you. And like, based on how they communicate, like what are signs you look for on how they talk? You just said how they talk, you will know. How would you know?
Energy. So it's all energy. If they're coming across not strong, firm, direct, like an alpha, you're gonna know. You're gonna know if he's shy, timid, like body language. The things he says are easy. Like, I don't know. Like, women go for men who are hard to get. If a guy's so easy, to me, it's almost like, okay, good to be a simp.
Okay. All right. No worries. All right. Thank you so much. If everybody's watching this right now in the live chat, let me know what you think about everybody's feedback and opinions about simping. And if you're a simp and you disagree, click on the public Zoom link and let me know and join the conversation. And maybe you can enlighten us with your perspective. Yeah, so yeah, that's I mean, I totally agree with you, ladies. I think simping is not a good strategy for men if they want to attract a quality woman. But for me, what the definition of simp is a man that has no standards, right? That's what the definition of simping means to me. And for me, I believe the reason why simping is unattractive for women is because he's acting like a woman, right? Because by simping, what he's actually doing is being submissive to you, right? At the end of the day, I always have, based on my conversation, my experience, and also I do a lot of reading. Also, women they want a man, like all you guys all just mentioned, like they want a man, and being submissive that's usually when a woman finds a good man, a strong masculine man, a man that's gonna be a good a provider, protector, a good father. Women by naturally will submit to him. But a man submitting is showing that that's not what a man should do. That's usually a female trait or behavior. So, a woman doesn't want to be in a relationship with another woman, even if he's biologically a male, right? So that's why I always tell my friends, because I have friends or people I come in contact with and they simp. And I always tell them, even if that woman entertains you don't need temporary to her, because sometimes women will entertain guys just for temporary, just for the just for somebody they have right now, but before they find the guy they actually want. But that's something I just realized about myself. Women they want a strong masculine man. They want a man that's gonna take care of her, that's gonna protect her, provide her, make you feel safe. But if you act like be submissive and be very feminine, sending those long paragraphs. I think I think Golden said. So I mean, pretty much what he's doing. That's what I would expect from a woman. If she said, if a woman sent me a long paragraph, I wouldn't even think, I wouldn't bat an eye, because that's why women do that. That's normal, right? But if a man did that, innately within you, you just have this feeling as a woman, like this is not a man I'm dealing with. This is a woman. So that's why for a lot of women it's unattractive sexually to men out there. What do you guys think? Anybody else want to add on to that conversation? That was my question for tonight. Topic I wanted to start off with.
Was there ever a moment where you were like a simp for someone, or kind of caught yourself starting to like simp for somebody that you were pursuing?
Oh yeah. I mean, previous relationships. Growing up in America, well, this is my personal view of how I see America. One of the things this is why I make this content, and I like to speak on the perspective of men, because I think a lot of men need to hear this. But I do realize, because of radical feminism, I don't know if any of you guys are feminists. I don't know, but I believe in first wave feminism, with equal opportunity. But one thing I realized, where the third wave feminists, which is becoming very radicalized, they're trying to make men and women the same. And that's the problem. For thing is, men and women are not the same. We're different, and like it's proven we're biologically different. And there's certain things that men can't do, and there's certain things women can do, right? And that's fine, right? There's things women are good at that men can never do, and there's things men are good at that women can't do, but because we're just biologically built differently, right? So, and one of the things I've seen with a lot of especially a lot of the coaches, I see a lot of women out there. They're telling guys how to pursue women from a female perspective. So a lot of these guys will simp. So for me, growing up as a guy, I thought that because I'm Polynesian. I don't know about you guys, but I never had that one-on-one talk with my dad about sex, about relationships. That topic is very taboo in my culture, right? So what I saw was, what, in order to attract a woman, just simp. That's what I saw. And then when I simped, it didn't work. It didn't work. So it wasn't until I started hanging around, listening to men and a strong masculine men, and understanding my masculinity, understanding what this is how men behave and this is what men should do. Then that's when everything changed. And also my personal experience for women, also just realizing that women want men. They don't want a woman, and that's when. So I have simped before, and it didn't work out. And I was like, nope, no more, no more. All right, but yeah. Anybody else want to add on to the conversation? All right.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
actually think that there's like kind of a difference between, so like I know you're saying like women want like a man, like a just like an alpha male, blah blah blah, but I think that there's like a difference between simply being like an alpha male and like a simp, and there's like this like in between that you can like achieve with someone, and I think that's the ideal. Is like I feel like men are conditioned into thinking like, oh, this is what defines masculinity and so on and so on. And that gets into toxic masculinity. And that's what defines like being a man and being a woman, like not showing your emotions. And I don't necessarily think that sending paragraphs either is like something that like only women do. I think it's a decent way to express how you feel if you genuinely have to get it out in long paragraphs, which I guess women typically do because we're used to having like women, you know, are emotional or whatever, and then men are considered not, or they're told, oh, that's not manly, and so on and so on. So that's why it's seen as a female thing, but men aren't necessarily like allowed to express themselves according to like societal standards. So I don't really think it's like a female thing. I think it's a thing that society decided was a female thing. And I don't necessarily think like only simps like send long paragraphs and whatnot.
I highly agree with her. Like, so I'm not gonna send you a paragraph. I'm not gonna vote your phone and send you a paragraph. I just think that's something, I don't think it's a gender role for that. Like, I feel like Lauren said there should be an in-between with simps and alpha males, because this generation, they mix alpha males with toxic masculinity. I'm not gonna show my feelings. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna, you know, F that girl, we're gonna get our money together, all this other stuff. In actuality, you're missing the whole point. It also talks about working on your internal and bettering yourself for yourself, not to prove yourself to any other guy, because I feel like men don't try to prove themselves to women anymore. They try to prove themselves to other men. Like they're trying to get other men validation, which makes me think, are you gay? But I know they're not gay. So also, why do they do that? I really want to know that.
Okay, no worries. I'll come back to you, Golden. I do want to respond to Lauren. Hey, Lauren, can you define, because pretty much what you're saying that based on what I heard, that it's okay for a man to sometimes act like a woman, right? So can you and you believe that the traits that men and women inherently have, you pretty much what you said based on what I heard is like it's a social construct. It doesn't derive from biology. So can you define? You said something called toxic masculinity, which I don't agree with, but I'm interested to hear what's your definition of toxic masculinity.
So before that, I think it's I know there are biological differences between men and women, and those things do define certain things, and that is understandable. But I think people try to like connect that to how someone should act based on that, like your personality and how you act and expressing yourself and so on shouldn't be linked to like biologically being different. And it may be like a brain thing, I suppose, that could be that difference, but it constantly, time and time again, men are told like not to be emotional. It's like womanly, and not to cry. It's like, and you have to be like, you know, the best at everything, and so on and so forth. Toxic masculinity is, I think, just like men who don't want to like embrace the fact that they literally are a human being and have emotions, and they're not just a man, they are a human. And I think that is the thing, like men are so strung up on being a man, whereas like women don't, like I don't go out in the world and think like I have to act like a woman. Like you have to be ladylike, not cuss. I think that would be an example towards women of if we were to embrace being a woman, like if we're back in like who knows what year, like way back when, before any of that, they had to act ladylike. They had to like speak when they were spoken to and dress certain ways. And like for men, that's not being expressive in their emotions and like having to be the best at everything and, you know, just bringing home the bread and whatnot like that.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the things I do hear from a lot of women, right? And from the reason why men, when you said that men, it's okay for men to talk about his feelings and emotions. Whenever I hear that, it's usually coming from a femme-centric or feminist point of view, right? Because there's not only as a man, but there are also studies on this. You know, men and women, we process emotions differently. You know, emotionally, neurologically, in our brains, we process differently. So for women, you guys tend to be more expressive with your emotions, right? For men, we don't want to. We like to deal. We like to internalize our emotions and just keep it in and deal with it ourselves. And for me, and then that's normal. And that's normal. I could watch a movie with a girl, and you know those what do you call those what do you call those movies that's the rom-com romantic comedies, right?
Oh, yeah.
Talk about the romantic comedies. A woman will cry about that movie, and I wouldn't cry about that movie, right? But then she would turn around to me like, "Why aren't you crying?" I was like, "Why aren't you crying? Why aren't you being vulnerable? Is something wrong with you?" I'm like, "No, there's nothing wrong with me. It's just I don't want to cry when I watch those types of movies." And we've gotten to a point where that we're pushing men to act like women when most men were not biologically built that way, and many men don't want to do it. They don't want to talk about their emotions, but society's telling them to talk about their emotions. And the reason why that's harmful for men because the very responsibilities and what men are expected to do by society and what women want out of men, because women want strong masculine men. Women want to provide a protector. So for a man to be strong, to be masculine, to take care of your family, to be responsible for your family, he needs to be built in a way to make sure he can handle that. And you don't want your man to be emotional because number one, we're physically built bigger, faster, stronger than women. So a man that's emotional, then that means he's going to have issues with his temper. He's going to have issues with his anger. There's studies out there that show that men we're more angry, we're more violent, we're more assertive, we're more prone to be angry. So if you're pushing men to act like women and be emotional, then that's a very dangerous man. That's why that's why I believe men need to spend time. Men just need to let men to be men. Like when I go through problems, I don't want to talk about it. I like to deal with my own, and that's for me. That's just how I deal with it as a man, and it's good. I don't want to vent to anybody. I don't want to discuss my feelings. I'm able to be I'm very just hold it, bottle it in. But then I like to talk to other men about my emotions. But I like to control my emotions and discipline my emotions and not let it get the best out of me, right? So, that's what I think is like when you say the word toxic masculinity, for me is like men and women are different. You know, if a woman is a woman, I wouldn't say that's that's toxic femininity. You know, if a woman behaves like a woman, right? So I think that term, when you say toxic masculinity, that's coming from a femme-centric view in modern society. But that's very clear for me that society has told women that if a man, that if a man acts like a man, then that's toxic. But when you guys when you go into relationships and dating and go out there and date, the very traits that you guys want is a man. None of you guys said a woman because you guys said it's okay for a man to cry, but then you guys don't like simps. So I just find it very entertaining when you guys say, it's toxic masculinity. A man should act like a man. It's okay if a guy cries or has traits as a woman, but then you wouldn't give those guys. But the guys that you guys want and want to have children with, are the men who are very masculine. But then you guys wouldn't want that in your own partner. That's just my standpoint.
So I actually have a couple things about that. Oh yeah, go first. Because you haven't spoken in a while.
I just gotta agree. I'm agree with Will on that because being married, if you have I can just speak for myself. If my husband was to be emotional like me, or always expressing feelings like me, or show his emotions kind of on the same as me, we would both not be able to handle our trials together. It would clash. So, example, say I'm having a rough day with my boss or something like that, and he's also having a rough day with his boss, and we both come home, and I'm not processing it right, or he's not processing his right, then it's a clash because it's almost like we're not balancing each other. So I have to agree with Will on, because Will's single, but yes, men do keep it inside. Well, I don't know if you're single, but you're not married, right?
I am. I'm single. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I almost forgot what I was saying. Or holding it in.
Yeah.
So they do hold it. Men do hold it in. Yes, and men are emotional, but you have to be able to understand the way a man works and the way his mind works. Once you're able to do that, then you can get the emotional side of him. But there's got to be a balance when it comes to when you're in long-term marriages, because if you're both emotional at the same time, you're both two different people. So you're going to process your emotions differently. So if you're both emotional at the same time, like I said, it's not that other person or your mate's not going to be able to balance out your energy, your emotional side. So I kind of agree with Will. I do agree with you as well, Lauren, but for that part, I do agree with Will.
Yeah.
Really
So,
point that, sorry.
Go ahead.
Point that like you all bring up. I do want to add though that I feel like a large part of why men are seen as being so aggressive and violent is because they feel this need to like internalize their feelings and not talk about it. And then so because of that, like there's kind of like an imbalanced sense of communication where like one person is kind of expected to like hold in their feelings, and then like another person is expected to like talk all about their feelings. Because I'm not in a relationship with a man, I've been in a relationship with a man, I'm in a relationship with a woman, and like both of us, like I guess we're seen as being like emotional creatures, or like however you want to see it. But the best thing about that is that we've learned how to communicate with each other effectively, which sometimes doesn't really come across very well in relationships, because kind of like what you're saying is like as a man, you're expected to like not really talk about your feelings or kind of just like work it out on your own. But I don't really think that like you should have to feel like you have to figure everything out by yourself, especially if you're in a relationship. You're partners, you know, like it's not like, oh, okay, one person has this sort of leverage and this other person has this other sort of leverage. I feel like there has to be a sense of equality, because my biggest problem being in a relationship with a man was that he always felt like, I always felt like he had some sort of leverage over me. And it was like regardless of like what we did, how much we made, how much we did for each other, whatever it was, there was always this sense of like he thought that he was better than me. And maybe that's because like I like to consider myself an alpha, but at the same time, like being with my girlfriend, like we are both very, like we both see ourselves very highly. At the same time, we both like to consider ourselves very strong women. At the same time, we both love to like express how we feel. If we want to cry over a movie, then like maybe one of us will be crying and the other one won't cry. Like there are just some things that might trigger us differently and trigger our emotions to react a certain way. I don't really feel like that has to be because you're a man or you're a woman or however it is that you identify. I think we should just be allowed to feel how we feel and express what that is. And every single, kind of like what Lauren was saying, like men focus on being men more than being a human, or some women focus on being a woman more than being a human. We have every single one of us here, every single person viewing, like we have bits of masculinity and femininity within us. It's not just because I'm a woman I have to be feminine. Like I have a lot of masculine traits, I feel like, within me that sometimes I'll express. And there are some times where I'm like, I need to be the best at this. And there are other times where I simply just want to break down and cry and ask my friends about how I feel. And it's not necessarily because I'm a woman that I'm doing that. It's because I simply just am a human being, and I recognize that I have this duality within me that I'm allowed to express.
Okay, no worries. No, Did you want to say something, Chloe? Go ahead.
I think a lot of the times when it comes to men holding everything in and not sharing everything is because on women's end or on our end, we don't take the time to understand the way a man thinks, the way males think. Like Will said, genetics, whatever, we're built totally different. So a lot of women cannot handle the way a man thinks. It's just proven facts. So when you're in a relationship or when you're in a long-term relationship with a man, it's best to really understand the way your man or a male thinks and accept it and not try to change it. That's why a lot of the times they hold it in. That's a lot of the times why they hold it in, because if a male was to say, well, I feel this way, a woman's going to say, you're not allowed to. Oh, no. It's not. That's not how it works. It might work like that in your head, but in the male, that's why he shuts down and he cannot express his feelings, because women cannot handle the way a real man or men think, move, motivate, how he runs in this life, his energy, everything.
I would agree with what Chloe said, and just to respond to what Kaitlyn said, right? I think like I totally disagree, because you said that like this duality when it comes to our sexuality, that a woman can be a man and a man can be a woman, right? I think that's very harmful, that type of rhetoric, especially for men out there trying to be men. And when it comes to emotions, we express it differently. You know, women, when they express emotions, they express it. They're emotionally expressive. So they're emotionally driven when you want to express emotions. For men, when we express our emotions, we want to express it logically. So for you, like if something bad happens to you, right? Like for you, the way you process that is like as a woman, most women want to talk about it with their friends or to somebody, because you want to talk about your emotions. For me, if something bad happens to me, I just look at it very logically. Okay, something bad happened to me. Damn. Yep, I messed up. I made a mistake. I fucked up. Okay, what am I gonna do about it to figure out a solution to move forward? That's how I process my emotions. It's like it's very logical, right? So I don't want to talk about it with my friends. I don't want to express it. I just want to figure out a solution, and move forward with my life, and to make sure I never experience that same outcome. And that process involves me just spending time with myself, spending time with other men, and then a lot of times when women who don't understand how men think or how men express their emotions, they will look at me and be like, oh, men out there who like to spend time alone, oh, he's not talking to me, he's not he's being distant, oh man, something's wrong with the relationship, when he's just expressing his emotions in a normal how men would do. So and that's the key word I hear from you guys is like, you know, this duality that you're still trying to change a man. And that's why I agree with Chloe. Like, I will never try to change a woman's nature. When a woman, if she wants to be, that's like me telling, if a woman came up to me and started talking about venting about her emotions or her bad day at work, that's like me telling her, you know, you're too emotional. You vent too much. Shut the hell up. What's wrong with you? I wouldn't even do that because I understand that's how women are. That's their nature. So I accept them as they are and allow women to be women. The same way men, when we handle emotions, we like to figure it out ourselves. And if a man wants to allow you to be part of that process, then he would communicate that with you. But just because he doesn't want you to be part of that process, doesn't mean something is wrong with the relationship or he doesn't like you. That's just how men deal with their emotions. And that's one of the problems with today's society is like, you were pushing men, we're suppressing men from being men. And now men are confused, right? So now all these young men or the young boys growing up, they want to process emotions how men would do it, but then they hear all these voices outside telling them, no, that's toxic masculinity. That's not what a man should do. Something's wrong with you. And now these young boys are questioning themselves like something wrong with me? Like, I don't want to talk about my feelings, but the society is telling me I don't want to talk about my feelings. Is that not man enough? So a lot of these men are confused when that something is wrong with them, when that's just how they are biologically. And also, you know, we live in a society today that men can be women and women can be men, which is, look, it is what it is. That's fine. That's people's choices. But I would say this, in the real world, because I think Kaitlyn said that, you have masculine traits, you have feminine traits, and we do all have masculine and feminine traits, but biologically we have primary traits, right? Men, do I have feminine? Am I nurturing, caring, loving like women? Yes, but my primary trait is masculine, assertive, confident, ambitious, and stoic. Like that's just how I am, right? But the thing is, you can be anything you want to be in today's society. If you want to be a man, you can be a man. If you want to be a woman, you can be a woman, whether you're a man or woman. But this is the thing that what they don't tell you. There are consequences to it. If a man acts like a woman, there's going to be consequences to it, especially when it comes to relationships. And we just proved it tonight. I asked you guys, what do you guys think about simps? And all you guys said, a man that's submissive, a man that's very open with his emotions, very desperate, very open about it, transparent about how he feels about you. All of you guys said that's a man that you wouldn't want to date or take seriously. But then so that's what I'm saying is you guys are opening up this discussion. Oh, it's okay for men to be women, but then you wouldn't date those men. And that's when I come in. That's why I would tell men, look, don't listen to these women or these societies telling you to act like a woman, because they're not going to deal with the consequences of the reality that you have to face as a man. And if a man wants to build a quality life, he needs to work on himself as a man, build himself as a man, be a better man, but the most importantly, just be a man, right? If you act like a woman, there's a consequence. The same way women, if a woman goes out there and be very masculine, acts like a man, there are consequences to that, because men don't want masculine women, they want feminine women, right? So you can be whatever you want, but there's our biology, like you say, that's one thing I always say, you can't go against nature. You can't go against biology, because our biology will always come back and take with the reality of what we want. Anybody else want to add on to that conversation, Lauren?
Yes.
Golden.
So I'm sorry about my dog barking in the back, but
no worries.
The whole discussion that we had about the simps is because it's a person giving that to anybody, giving that attention to anybody. We want our men that we are dealing with in a relationship with or we're talking to show us those emotions. We don't want a random person to just spill out everything they feel for us. That's really creepy. So like I said, like Kaitlyn said, masculine does not mean you're male, feminine doesn't mean you're female. It's energy and it's traits that we have inside of us. So we would want our person, like Lauren said, send us messages, because there's nothing wrong with that, because it's our person. We don't want a random person to be doing that, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, even if it's a guy that you want, right? Like what are like, let me ask you, Golden, like what are certain traits that you want out of the guy that you want, or any man that's going to approach you? Because at one point, because the guy that you are with right now, at one point he was random, he wasn't person you didn't know, but then now you guys in a relationship. The communication.
Yes, it was him understanding his priorities, having his priorities in order, and his communication skills great. He knows how to communicate his emotions. That is what drawed him. That's what made me come towards him. He knows how to communicate his emotions. He didn't give his emotions to everybody. He knows how to talk about his feelings. He knows how to be separated. He knows how to be a man without being too alpha or too simpish. He knows how to be in between, like, I'm gonna fix this, but at the same time, do you want to talk about this so I can have a better understanding? He listens to both sides of the story. He has a balance. It's why I chose him.
Yeah. So like, there's nothing wrong with the man communicating his feelings and communicating with you. Communication is important in relationships. All I'm saying is, if you happen to meet a man that deals with his emotions very logically and doesn't want to talk about his emotions, but he's still fulfilling all his responsibility to you as a man, to the relationship, to build a relationship, just because he doesn't communicate, he's not as communicative as other men, but he's still a good man, does not mean there's something wrong with it. And that's the whole conversation today is like, women today, if they meet, they get a woman, because I've had conversations with women so many times on this podcast and my personal life. They'll meet a guy, and the guy does everything right. He does everything right. You know, he doesn't cheat. He's a great provider, protector. He fulfills his responsibility. But the only thing that they have an issue with is he's not vulnerable. He doesn't like to talk about his emotions. And but everything else is good. Like he has a great job. He's a family person. But then just because it's not vulnerable, just because he doesn't like talk about his feelings, that's the, you know what, I don't like that guy. Something's wrong with him. He doesn't talk about his feelings. He must be hiding something. And that's why I would have to tell these women, like, no, that's just him being a man. That's normal. That's nothing wrong with it. He's feeling everything else, all his responsibilities, and you're going to leave that guy because society is telling you that men should act like women are this, this is, toxic masculinity, when men are just behaving like they biologically normally would do. So like, that's all I'm saying is if a man out there communicates his feelings, that's fine. That's great. But if a man out there likes to keep to himself, especially when it comes to being most expressive, that's also okay as well. That's all I'm saying. Anybody else want to add on to that?
Yeah, I have a couple things to add on to that. So I took a couple notes from before, and the one thing I think I want to clarify is, like Golden tried to do, is the difference between a simp and then someone being emotionally expressive. There is a very distinct line between the two. Simps typically cross lines when they're like consistently, and not even just, that's not like really emotional expression. It's more so like, I'm in my head, I'm in love with this person so much that I just want to like bash them with compliments and talk to them all the time and do this and this and that, even if they are or are not reciprocating that. And then someone who is emotional is just talking about things that are troubling them, or things that are on their mind, or things they like and don't like. And I also think you mentioned at one point, like, oh, when there's rom-coms, my woman, she cries, and then they ask me why I don't cry. And like Kaitlyn said, there are things that will trigger certain people to be emotional over things because, they see something in that they like want or desire or think is like so amazing that they just have to cry or something. And you may not feel that way. It's just like seeing a movie you like and don't like. Someone may like it, someone may not like it. And the difference between that and like just being emotionally expressive is like, I know you think it's like, oh, women trying to change their men, and some women may be doing that, but I think it's more so like women want, the people who consistently say men should be more expressive want men to realize that they don't have to bottle up their emotions, even though that's something that they were conditioned by everyone else saying men don't do this, men do that. And also the reason why men are the breadwinners and they have to do this and that and perform certain ways is because they were the only ones able to have jobs back in the day. So obviously they're going to continue thinking that way. And that's the thing that is like pretty much the root of the problem. Like they think they have to do these things because in society, way back when rights weren't even a thing, they did have to do those things. But like those things like don't really exist anymore. Like a woman could be the breadwinner and the man doesn't necessarily have to be. And that if someone doesn't like that, then that just means you're with the wrong person. If someone gets over, like feels like you're burdening them with their emotions, that is not someone you should be with because they are not listening to you. They don't, like, I feel like most of the time it's just someone's with someone who is just toxic or a bad person. And then you're emotionally vulnerable and they shut you down. So then you consistently think, oh, everyone's like that. But that's not the case. It's like for me in particular, I want my boyfriend to tell me when he's upset so that like, if he wants to, I'm not like forcing him to either, but I want him to know that I am here if he does feel comfortable expressing himself to me and that he shouldn't be ashamed of expressing himself and like stuff like that. And then I also, for a long time, did not like expressing myself. I was also very logical. I saw my problem and I went through the steps of my problem and I was able to live my life. And I thought that was, at the time, it was fine for me. But you get to a point where you realize that like it weighs you down. And for men, they're told over and over, and it goes generations. So you just think it's something that's normal. And it does weigh you down after a long time. And that contributes to why men are typically seen as aggressive, because they have no other way to express the things that are weighing them down. They have to be aggressive, and that's the only way they can get it out. And I think that's why people are trying to bring awareness to this so that men know that it is okay if even if it takes you a while to get from a point of bottling things up and being logical about it. It takes time to get from point A to point B, but it's about yourself. It's not about doing it for someone else. It's about doing it so that you can express yourself in a way that makes you live your life better. And I think that's also the issue. And I did write, yeah, it's about learning communication too. If someone you're with cannot just appreciate your emotions and you can't do it back to them, then that's just not someone you should be with, point blank, period. And that's the easiest way to find out if you should or should not be with someone. You should not be with someone if they cannot like let you express yourself, or vice versa. If someone's leaving you because you don't express yourself, that's also like someone you shouldn't be with. Like, you should just be with someone who accepts you the way you are. And if someone is trying to change you, you should not be with them. But that doesn't necessarily like you're just with someone who's bad. And I think that's the issue. People like think they go hand in hand, like, oh, she wants me to be like emotional, but then she leaves me because I'm too overbearing. Like, that's just someone who's toxic, to be honest.
No worries. I'm going to open it up for everybody, but I do want to say this one thing, and that Lauren said, and then I'll open up for everybody. You said that men being provider protectors, the reason why men are provider protectors is because they were the only one that had jobs. That's what you said, right? No, which is I totally disagree. It's not a fact. The reason why men are the provider protectors, the breadwinner, is because of biology.
Yeah,
Now,
and I'm aware of biological differences.
But let me ask you that: when you become pregnant, right? When you're pregnant, do you expect your man to go to work, or are you still gonna go to work when you become pregnant? 8 months, 9 months.
A lot of women still go to work. My manager at one of my jobs actually went to work, and she only like got off work the 3 months before because she literally, by her doctor, should not have been working, and that is the only reason. And then at that point, it goes into an issue of, is the government helping us enough with those issues?
I'm just saying this if you're pregnant and the doctor tells you shouldn't be working, but you with them, but do you want your man to go be the provider protector?
I think it's another thing to like look at is if someone is single and they are pregnant and they don't have someone else to rely on, then that's kind of like an argument that gets thrown out the window, essentially.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm asking you, like, if you're 9 months heavily pregnant,
yeah,
would you want to go to work, or would you expect your man to go to work?
I mean, if my man wasn't working, I would not expect him to go to work, and I would hope that perhaps the government would assist me in some way during my pregnancy, during the weeks that I literally cannot work because it will be a harm to me or my baby.
You think that's a good strategy of life? And
I believe that people have a basic right of living and eating and so on and so forth. And if they physically cannot work because they will put harm on themselves or their baby, then
I'm saying is you said that even if you're pregnant and you're heavily induced physically, you wouldn't expect him to work. All I'm saying
if he did not want to, no.
But
like, why am I gonna force him to do something he does not want to do?
But you wouldn't feel some type of way that you can't physically go to, you're pregnant 9 months, you physically can't go to work, and the man has no motivation to step up and take care of his about to be born child. You don't see a problem with that?
I think in my case specifically, like, my boyfriend has anxiety and depression, so I already know certain things are hard for him to do. So I'm not going to make him feel like a bad person because he's incapable of doing things. And I wouldn't expect him to do those things if he cannot do those things, you know, like, and it's just like I said, at the end of the day, I think it's also just like, I suppose once, like, we're not married. So, I mean, we share like money with each other and we basically use the same amount of money. We live together. And we have for a couple years now. And it's just like, we don't expect anything from each other because we just are two human beings who are together. And that's it at the end of the day. And we understand each other too.
Okay, ladies, I'm gonna ask you guys a question. And if you be honest, be real, that's why we have this podcast. If you're dating a man, if you're dating a man and you go on the first date with a man, and it tells you on the first day, you know what? If you get pregnant, I'm not gonna work. Be honest. How many of you guys would take the man seriously? I'll start with Chloe.
Wait, how many would do what?
I'm asking you guys, if you go on a date with a guy and he tells you in the day, if you get pregnant, I'm not gonna work. You got to figure it out and rely on welfare or government assistance, like Lauren said. How many of you, what would you take him seriously, Chloe?
I mean, like for me, that question already blows out the water because majority of pregnant women are like.
I just want to like quick yes or no. Like he tells you that, what's your yes? Take him seriously or no?
No.
No. Okay, Kaitlyn.
I think it's a more complex question than just like yes or no.
No, he just tells you. He just tells you up front. Look, if you get pregnant, I am not going to work. You have to figure it out. Rely on Uncle Sam's welfare. It's a direct question. Are you going to take him seriously? Yes or no?
Like I said, it's much more complex than just saying like yes or no.
Yeah.
It's just so situational. You can't.
Well, no, he just tells you, I don't want to work when my woman's pregnant. I don't like to take care of my woman when she becomes pregnant. I want you to figure that out. If you become pregnant, you figure it out. He tells you this up front.
If we're dating, then that would be a problem. But if we're not dating, that wouldn't be a problem.
No, it's just like I said. This is the first date. The first date, you meet him. If you like him, you guys are sexually attracted to each other. You go on a date. He tells you up front, I am not going to take care of you when you become pregnant. You have to figure that out, and that responsibility is not going to be mine. You got to figure it out on your own. Would you take him seriously, Kaitlyn?
Well, being taken care of and having a job are like two very different things. Because like somebody can take care of me without having a job. Like there are some jobs.
Well, okay, fine. Like he's not going to take care of you at all. I'm like you said, he's not going to have no parts of you taking care of you.
But I don't think that's what Lauren is saying. I think Lauren is just saying like.
No, I'm just saying it's. Would you?
That would be considered a deadbeat. That would literally.
Okay, so Golden says it's a deadbeat, but Kaitlyn, would you take him seriously or no?
Probably not.
Okay, Chloe. No. All right, Lauren.
So I also think
you express it, but that's what I'm saying, ladies. Is the reason why we got to provide a protector is because of basic biology. Is when you get pregnant, that's why the man doesn't get pregnant, because we can step in and keep working and take care of you. That's our role and responsibility as a father, and that's our role and responsibility to the family and to our woman.
Yeah, but what about the woman that abandoned? I mean, what about the men that abandon women after they impregnate them? Which is
exactly
that's a different topic. All I'm saying is that's why.
But it still kind of plays into it because
no.
Question that's very situational. So.
I'm saying is it comes to basic biology, where that's why the man is to provide a protector, because when women get pregnant, you're physically unable to do certain things and do certain work. Now, there are women out there right now that can work all the way their whole 9 months and trimesters and still work fully to the day they get to the day they get have pregnancy. Yes, there's some women out there, but is that the majority? No. And if you go out there and look on surveys and you ask most women who have a strong husband, who has a quality man, most women, if they were being honest and being realistic and being very strategic and be very logical, most women would align with the man that would take care of her.
That is the majority. Majority of women are not married. A majority are single mothers.
That's what I'm saying.
So they have to do it by themselves.
I'm saying is that's why our role is as a man is we have to provide and protect. Is because you guys will get pregnant, and that's our role is to step up and take care of you and the children.
But I feel like even if it is the role, a lot of men aren't fulfilling that role. So at the same time, ask that question. Like, honestly, even if a man were to say that, I feel like there's just so many men that like will get somebody pregnant and then just abandon them and not even take care of them. So like I said, like that question is very situational, because there's a lot of times where like men won't even say that. They'll just do it.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother discussion of why men leave, after they impregnate. But I'm just saying is that's our biological role. But that's why I'm an advocate for creating strong men. That's why I'm an advocate of not having men to act like women and to be just in tune with their masculinity and with their biology, to be good provider protectors, because it creates stronger families and it creates stronger societies. If women acted like men and very emotional and not very logical and step up and take responsibility with their role, which is being a great father and provider protector, which I believe men should do. But the reality is we are moving in a society where men, you know what? I don't want to take care of my responsibility. My feelings is a more priority than my kid, than my wife. I'm going to abandon them because I care about my feelings and my mental health and my happiness. So I'm going to abandon my family and my children because society is telling me I should focus on my feelings and abandon my responsibility. That's the world we live in today.
But I feel
So-
like if were more feminine in that sense, where they were nurturing and caring, then they would be less likely to abandon the person.
No, logically
Go
for
ahead,
a
Daniel.
male, if they leave, for a male to be a player, he's not logically thinking. He's not processing
Exactly. Yeah.
the risk and reward of impregnating a female and then running away. That's not logical at all. You get hit by the government initially in a legal sense. And not only that, you are now exposing a child to trauma going through single parenthood. So that's why Will argues the point of men need to regulate their emotion to the point where they can logically process them and channel their emotions and their trauma so that they can process these risks that they're putting themselves and other people into. So guys who sleep around are not very emotionally intelligent people or logical thinkers.
So they're not really
I don't think that's necessarily true.
You don't think so?
Because I mean, if women sleep around, it doesn't mean they're not in tune either. Like I
Why
don't
not?
think like
You're now risking yourself being pregnant, being a single mother, being exposed to your child
I mean, if
through all these
you
statistics.
if you have like birth control and also use like condoms and things and like consistently
None
get
of those
tested
birth
and things
control are
like
not
that.
100% efficacy.
Yeah. There's still a risk.
There's
Yeah,
still
of
high
course
risk.
there's always still a risk, but I think people are allowed to be as sexually explicit as they want to be, and that doesn't
And that's what's
dictate.
contributing to men playing around. Women are no longer vetting men to get access to sex so that women find the good, decent man. They're just participating in sexual
I mean,
liberation.
it
and
just
sex
depends on
culture.
what a person wants out of life. If someone doesn't want a relationship and they just want to mess around with various people,
Yeah,
that's
then they're
that's
putting
just what they
themselves
want
at
to
that
do.
risk.
But is
Yes,
that
and that
logical?
is a risk they are willing to choose. It's just like I don't think it
Is
really.
that logical risk though?
It's a logical risk. Is that a risk that we should
No.
encourage?
I mean, what else should they do? Just never have sex for the rest of their life and just stay celibate? Like, I don't really
Well,
understand.
Well,
Oh.
it's either to stay celibate or you risk yourself having a child out of wedlock and exposing that child to further trauma down that we're currently apparently trying to break cycles out of.
I feel
Yeah,
like
I just
they're
like
going
I don't
back
know.
to the conversation of effectively communicating, which a lot of men don't do, which is why
Define
people-
communication. Is it limited to verbally alone?
Like they don't make their intentions known when they get there. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Like they'll make it seem like they're into you, they want to deal with you, they're pursuing you romantically, but as soon as they get what they want, or that's like narcissists, as soon as they get what they want, or as soon as you hit them like, okay, hey, I'm pregnant, like this is what you said you wanted, you future bound me, this is what you said you want, and now you have it, you're leaving. I don't understand. It's more of something like that.
I think
What are the
when women,
qualities
I
that
think
you
when
Go ahead,
I think when
Chloe.
women, I think when women aren't in tune with who you are, like you have not done the work on yourself, you're not able to pinpoint out the signs. Men give signs from day one of what their intentions are. If you're not in tune to who you are, what you want, your desires, all your logical thinking, all your background, everything, you're not going to be able to pay attention to the signs, or you overlook the signs because you want the fairy tale, you want the boyfriend, you want the long-term relationship, you want the ring, you want the house, you want the cars, you want the money, you want somebody to take care of you. But if you're not in tune, and that comes down with, you know, with the sexuality part where the women just go from men to men to men to men to men to men, they're not in tune. You were in tune, you would know your body's sacred. Not saying not
I
have
don't
sex
think
with
that's
everybody.
necessarily like
Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all, to be honest. Yeah.
Why don't you- why don't
I
you
think
agree?
people I feel like people are allowed to be sexually expressive in any way they want, as long as they're taking the precautions, even though precautions may not be 100%, but are damn near 100%. But like, it's just like, along with that, I feel like marriage should be about wanting to be with your soulmate and not about the house or the cars or the money or the ring or this and this and that. Because me and my boyfriend, if he proposed to me, I wouldn't even need a ring. I wouldn't need cars. I wouldn't need money. And I wouldn't even care if we were staying in an apartment for the rest of our life, because I am with someone who I feel completes me. And I I don't agree with that part either. But like
still-
considering
Right,
your
but I
body
didn't
a
say-
temple.
But I didn't say the
Mm.
house, the something, the something, something. I'm saying that that's what women tend to overlook because that's what they want. I'm not saying that when you look for marriage, yes, does have nothing to do with the house, the car, the rings, nothing like that. But if you're not in tune with who you are, you're going to overlook it for the car, the house, the some
I
everything.
don't
but
necessarily think like being sexually explicit and like having many partners and XYZ necessarily means you would want those things either, because you're not quote unquote in tune with yourself though.
But energy
Exactly.
is exchanged. Energy is exchanged through sex, whether you think it is or not. So if you have 15, 20, 25 male partners, you have 25 different types of energies that have been through you. So if you're
I think
not
it's just
in
up to a
tune,
person to
you're
decide what they
caring.
want or not.
Yeah.
It's
Chloe-
I don't think
long-term,
it's a
though.
man or
You're-
a woman thing.
Yeah, I
what
don't think
Chloe
it
is saying
has
is,
to
do with
is
Right.
absolutely right if you're talking from a
Well-
spiritual level, but it also backed up by science. Biologically,
Yeah.
women who have
Yeah.
sex more often
Yep.
over-regulates what makes them a good nurture.
But what if they don't want to be a parent though? Then that necessarily doesn't
But,
matter.
I don't
does it?
plan on being a
do
parent.
you want to have
That's what I'm
sex and
saying,
not
it's
have
stuff like
a
that.
relationship with someone
I
else?
mean, people
And-
like
yeah.
how sex feels good. So if someone likes how sex feels and that is what they're looking for, it doesn't mean I am only having sex to have a child, because at the moment I do not plan on having a child for many years. And it does not mean I'm not having sex. So
Nurture is
Yeah,
not
and
only
I feel
limited
like
to
because-
your
I feel like because more
child,
women are being
but-
in tune with themselves and not necessarily, oh, like I need to be in tune with somebody else, or like, oh, like a lot of the time, like the reason why people think that like women like want to or like need to have children is because it's like a societal thing. Once again, like women felt so inclined to like having children because like that's kind of what their worth measured to, like however many decades ago, that was the thing where it's like, oh, well, like women don't really have their own rights. Women don't really have their own ability to get jobs or education. And so that's why their birthright almost was to have children and to like conceive children. But now I feel like because women are becoming more in tune with themselves, they're able to get an education, they're able to pursue jobs and careers and hobbies that they want. And if they don't want to have a child, it's because they want to focus on themselves. And if somebody wants to have sex with however many partners they want, it's because they want to gain their own personal pleasure, because for once in our lives, we're able to experience that pleasure simply because we want it, not because we have to do it at the sake of a man or because a man like demands us to do these things. Because at the end of the day,
Okay.
like, a lot of these demands are coming from men. Like, I don't think any woman like wants, or not any woman, but I feel like a lot of women, modern women, as you say, are aligning themselves with their own personal goals. Whereas in the past, women's goals were to be submissive. Exactly,
Mhm.
because they had no other choice, because there was no right to education. We weren't able to have jobs. And now that women are able to, I feel like women are becoming more sexually liberated. This is something that men have been doing for so long. They can be married to someone, they can have a child, they'll still like go commit adultery and like have sex with whoever they want to, even when
wasn't easily accessible up until the
Okay.
last
Yeah.
decade or so, or century, I should say.
well, it wasn't easily accessible.
It's sex for men. That's why men were vetted by the father of the women they wish to court.
Men would still go off and like have sex with
They
whoever
really would.
Okay.
By that logic, women vetted men, so they abstained from sex. So who are these men having sex with?
just because a man marries a woman doesn't mean that a man
No. The question is, women were abstaining from sex in order to get a good quality man. So who are these men going out and having sex with?
they were
I mean,
Women
you
have
act
to lie
like
about their body count.
everyone. It's
They
not
would-
everyone.
Everyone.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
everyone, and a
But
lot
the
of
vast majority of women were...
Okay, but like
And
the
men
vast
would-
majority.
women, that's why there's such a high.
Yeah, so if the vast majority of women abstain from sex, how can we also say the vast majority of men went out and had sex?
because they're raping them. That's why there's such a high statistic.
Okay, so you want to go to the rape culture.
Yes,
I
Yes.
don't think we were
Yeah.
talking about rape.
Yes.
And it is a really big part of it. Think about the Vietnam War, for example. They were literally like broadcasting that live on TV. Men.
that's a whole different. You're talking
Yeah.
about a whole different thing now.
It is a whole different thing, but it still relates to it because guess what? That's still what's happening, even just around the street. Like, if you ask like a room full of women, for example, like how many of them have been sexually assaulted or raped, like 1 out of 3 women will raise their hand. And that's
Do you
only
realize that astounding number coming out of men being raped too? It's climbing. The stats is climbing if you
But
if you
it's-
look into it.
it is
Men just don't
significantly
express
less.
it.
It is significantly less though.
But it's climbing. It's climbing at an alarming rate of actual men coming out now that they are told to be vulnerable, and now that the therapy is more easily accessible. It's not sort of downplayed anymore. Let's not go into the rape culture because that's disgusting.
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
will never ever consider a man or a female that does that action. What we're trying to bring here is the logic between men and women. Why we have differing opinions on communication, who we have sexual attraction to, who we want to be potential partners and whatnot. Rape culture is a disgusting act, and yes, the statistics have grown and been more towards men, but now that men are more verbal and communicate more often, now that therapy is widely available, there is an alarming number of men coming out and actually confessing to being raped, and whether that's childhood or through domestic violence partner.
So your question was, if women are abstaining from having sex to find a partner, then how are these men having sex? So that was my answer to it. It wasn't because
but those are criminal. You're saying a good husband going out to have sex with other women.
Not all husbands
good.
are good. That's just the truth.
I can say the same thing. Not all wives are good.
That is also true, yeah, but both are
Also
true.
true.
But, so what are we
It's
trying
just
to
human nature.
But what are we trying to ultimately get to with that logic? Men are
Believe that
disgusting.
men and
Women
are
disgusting.
to be equal. I really think so. Like that's what the feminist movement is about. It's not so much about women
Men
are
can't get
better
pregnant, so
or,
we
like,
will never be equal.
Yeah,
We
we're
will
not
never be
equal.
able to bear children. So how can we be equal?
that doesn't matter. It's more so just like the status of people. Like it doesn't have to just be biological. It's more so just like the stature that people are allowed to have nowadays. It can be equal. Like if a man can be a CEO, why can't a woman be a CEO?
Majority of women are not even interested in being a CEO.
Yeah.
I
Yes, they
don't
are.
necessarily think that's true. I don't think that's true
Exactly.
at
I
all.
know,
It's
guys,
women
guys,
we're
look.
on this
Give me
podcast-
5
we're on this
example
podcast
of
because-
women CEOs. It's been proven
Go
in
ahead.
Switzerland.
Okay.
women
When
don't
you
No,
give
because
liberation to
women don't
male,
have the access to become CEOs because they're constantly kept at this like lower managerial level.
They're not. No. It's look.
And
It's
there
good to.
are there's
It's,
a record number of
look.
CEOs nowadays
look,
too.
it's-
So
Just to
I don't think-
respond to
Scandinavia has done the study that when you give men and women equal opportunity, men tend to go into the STEM field and women tend to go into the social science fields. It's proven when you give them the actual opportunity, they do that by nature.
That
Because
may
women
be
are more
true in
in-
like a different country, but I feel like in America there are a lot of women who would be interested in being CEOs.
So ladies, so here's the statistics when it comes to women, right? Especially in America, so just talk about America. Women right now are graduating at a higher rate than men in college. Women right now have higher degrees and enrolled in more in college than men. I think it's like 60% compared to the 40%. So you guys are doing a lot better than men when it comes to college education, pursuing higher education. But if you look at the statistics, the top 10 highest earning professions in degrees that men and women choose, because when we go to college, we all choose our degrees and we all choose what we want to go pursue and learn. The top 10 professions, highest paid professions, are dominated by men. The top 10 least paying professions are dominated by women. So these women are going to college and they're choosing to go in professions that don't earn as much and have a higher salary, but the men are choosing by choice. Nobody's forcing these women in college now. You can't say they were coerced. You can't say that somebody's putting a gun to their head. They're going to college on their own free will, and these women are choosing to go into careers because it all still comes down to biology. there's certain things that men love to do. Men, this is a proven fact scientifically. We like to deal with things, and women like to deal with with people. So that's why the top 10 professions when it comes to social sciences and social work is all dominated by women. Nursing, but when you go to the top 10 professions when it comes to the STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math, it's dominated by men. So if you choose as a woman to go into careers that don't pay as much as men and don't pay as much as the careers that men go to, that has nothing to do with the imbalance or inequality. That just comes down to individual choices as men and women. And this is all statistically proven in college. Can a woman be a CEO? Yes. A woman, okay. Well, a woman can be a CEO because there are women CEOs. The reason why there are more men CEOs because there are more men pursuing those careers, and there's less women pursuing those careers. That's why it will never be the same. If more women competed and wanted to be a CEO, then maybe the numbers would change. But if the thing is only a very small minority of women statistically want to become CEOs, a lot of men out there want to become CEOs. That's why the numbers will always be a difference. It has nothing to do with inequality or lack of opportunity or just we're getting suppressed. It's just different choices. Daniela.
Yeah, and to bring the CEO argument, it's almost to say that CEOs do nothing all day. They work ridiculous hours. They work,
and that's like assuming that
hours.
women can't work ridiculous hours either. That's just like Fatty said in the comments. By the way, I'm reading the comments. I don't necessarily agree with what they said. They said that
answer yourself. Would you like to work 80+ hours a week for the?
I don't think anyone
10,
should
years?
be working 80+ hours a week. Not even CEOs. And I understand that's a part of the job, but I think
I work 80 hours a week.
Yeah, I think that to like sustain a healthy life and lifestyle and like have time for yourself and like just stuff
That's
like
where
that.
we differ.
I suppose that's
difference.
true, but you're literally working yourself to death. And I don't want to work myself to death. And that may or may not be a woman thing. I mean, if you look at Reddit such as like anti-work, there are a lot of males in that subreddit who are against even working like 80+ hours a week, 60 hours a week. You are literally working yourself to death. You are living to work.
That's why there'll never be CEOs. That's why there'll never be CEOs. There's a price to pay for everything you do in life. So if you want to be if you want to be a CEO, if you want to be the top 1% earning $400,000 in a year, there's a reason why that is a 1% of the population earn a certain income, because they're willing to do the work 99% of people aren't willing to do. So if you want to party,
I don't really see the point in even
that's fine.
Like being the 1% if you can't even do anything. Like you're literally like
that's what you're saying. Women want to be CEOs, and when we present to you the fact of what makes a CEO, then you don't want to do it. Yeah, you don't want to do it.
Okay, but I'm saying I don't think anyone, like no human being, should be working 80+ hours a week because that is literally not healthy. Like I'm just saying that in a health aspect, not as I can't work that much, or I don't think people should be working. Like if people want to work that much, go ahead, but you are literally killing yourself.
And there is an inequality that's like systemic, because these jobs, like people can't control how much they're being paid for the jobs that they're doing. And what makes you think that like being a teacher, being a nurse isn't really demanding? Because if you think about it, like when you're a teacher, you have to be there from like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. until like 3 p.m. Even beyond that, you have to go home and you have to like create tests. You have to do like grade homework. You have to find things to assign to students. So that takes up a lot of time.
What are you arguing?
Real quick. Let me I got a super chat from Fatty. Real quick, guys. I got to do a super chat for Fatty. Fatty, thank you so much for the super chat donation. Much love to you, Fatty. $5. It's not society when you get to your 30s or almost all of your friends start getting pregnant. Marry most women that didn't want to have kids change. And a CEO works 80 hours a week. Most women don't want that because women don't see money, professional success like men. Let me ask you everybody real quick. Like Kaitlyn, if I had $1 million and wanted to give it to you, would you take it?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Chloe, would I give it to you? Would you take it?
Yeah.
Okay. Lauren, if I had $1 million, I'll give it to you. Would you take it?
Ask what this like.
No, I have $1 million. I want to give it to you. Would you take it?
I don't really feel comfortable accepting money from people, especially if I'm living a life that I'm comfortable with.
Do you want to? So I'm giving you. There's no strings attached. There's nothing. I don't expect anything from me. If you pay it back, I want to give you $1 million. You
I probably wouldn't. No,
okay.
I don't really trust people like that. So.
Okay. Okay, would you? Somebody wanted to give you $1 million, Golden. Would you take it?
No,
No, you wouldn't take it
I
at all.
wouldn't take it. I would not even touch it.
Okay, all right, no worries. Let's be honest. If you ask every single person in this world, they want to be a millionaire, they want to have a millionaire lifestyle and live the quality of life millionaires live. Let's be honest. Every big house, everything taken care of financially. They don't have to worry about bills and finances. Let's be honest. Every one of you would say yes, but that's not reality. Reality is you have to work for it. Like the lifestyle and the things that you have to work that you want to earn, that type of lifestyle that you guys want. There's a price to be paid. Now, the reason why men want to work and can make that type of money is because they choose professions that make that type of money. So a lot of you guys might say, hey, 80 hours a week, that's just a small couple of years that these men are willing to sacrifice in order to get the prize. They're not doing it for no reason. They're doing it to get money. And the thing is,
everyone works to get money, but I think it's just like, it comes down to literally like worrying about your health. Like it's just not healthy. Like I don't even care what arguments there are against that. It's not healthy to work that much.
Literally, because if you don't have
100 hours,
yeah, if you don't have your health anymore, you can't work. You would literally die. You can't work, do whatever you say for money, because 15 years down the line, you've been working so hard, you can't even get up. So you can't work. So your health is important to work. I think that's what she's trying to say.
Yeah, there's a risk to everything. Even if you don't make $1 million, you still have health issues. So it's not to say that people who are poor or people who make less than the millionaires, it's not safe to say that they're also they're free from the risk of being unhealthy on mental health. So
yeah, there are obviously general health issues, and then there are literally things that will put you directly in harm's way. And that's like the thing. Like, yes, of course you can still develop things throughout your life. And that's just a given. That is the way of life. Like we are going to die. Yes, that is facts. But it's just like your quality of life while you're here. And it's not that working that many hours, like it is like, I mean, I could probably work that many hours if I genuinely thought that was, I don't care about money, that is not something that I am focused on, because I think money is honestly, people start thinking they're better than other people. I think it's the root of all evil. If you look at history, that is the literal cause of like everything that's ever happened. And that is not something I aspire. And maybe you may think that's a womanly trait or whatnot, but I think it's just more so a trait of understanding what I want in life. And what I want in life is to be comfortable. And that doesn't mean comfortable by rich standards. That means comfortable where I can eat and I have a roof over my head.
And
you do understand that you do
want to live a millionaire life. Like, I personally don't want to live like a millionaire's life. I don't think that it's sustainable. And there's a study, since y'all love to talk about statistics, there's only a certain threshold of money there's only a certain level of happiness that money can really bring you. And it only makes you happy when it meets the basic requirements of having like food, shelter, and water. And that's what makes people really happy. If you're going to offer me $1 million, like, yeah, I'm going to take it, because guess what? That offers me a sense of peace of mind, because I don't have to worry about like my bills or where that money is coming from. That's not really, peace of mind doesn't really equate to like being happy. And
you do realize, like Lauren said, you're comfortable. Everything, all the conveniences that makes your life comfortable in modern society. You do realize that it was created by a man that was willing to work 80 hours a week to create that invention, to create that company. You do realize that, right? So
I mean, yes, and they're taking most of the wages and not paying people properly.
Exactly.
There's a lot wrong.
For free. Like,
yeah, that's a whole nother discussion, I feel like.
It is. And actually what I was arguing earlier, since I didn't get to finish, was that you were talking about how women like to go into fields such as like being teachers or nurses instead of going into fields that make them CEOs. And what I was trying to say was that being a teacher and being a nurse, you're still working, maybe it's not 80 hours, but you're working really close to 80 hours. And it's really exhausting doing that type of work and getting like half the pay of a CEO.
Not even half. It's not even half the pay. It's like
minuscule. It's not, and that's because
less than half.
It is. It really is. And that's my exact point, is that like there are these women are going into these more like nurturing or caring social and psychological fields, and the money isn't going there. That's not their fault though. That is systemic inequality, something that cannot
exactly.
And you know what? There
I
is
think,
women
Go
that are
ahead.
going into STEM too. And
Mhm.
that's because like they feel more comfortable being able to go into a like patriarchal
Ooh.
study, because it really wasn't like, it was just so like absurd for women to like go into those types of fields. But
Do you
now
know
that
why
it's
the money
legal-
don't go into social studies? Because STEM field create products and service that
Make
gets
money.
other people to pay for it.
It's a market
That's
for
why,
it.
there's a market for it. So
Yeah,
being a
Economics,
teacher,
economics 101.
who's buying children and men? Like, there's literally no economy going into those fields because it's not a product; it's a service to build other human beings. Whereas the STEM field, you're creating products of innovation to create better lifestyle for modern day era. That's why the money is there, because the market dictates how much
Money you make.
economy flows into it. It's not systemic. It's just STEM fields create product. You then consumer buy product. Therefore, money flows into that sector. How is that systemic when it's consumers participating in that market that generates the revenue? Money doesn't just come out of thin air. It's you and I, consumers, buying all these different products that translate into why those sectors are successful.
and these different products that are being created are unsustainable, and that's why so many people
That's not the argument. Your argument is why are teachers not being paid more
As the
than
CEO.
CEOs? And I've just told you, it's because STEM fields generate products that you and I buy, therefore creating economy, a sustainable economy, not a sustainable product, but a sustainable economy in those sectors. Whereas teachers in social science fields, they don't. You don't sell a child and get revenue coming into that area.
All right, no worries. I gotta give a shout out to Fatty. Fatty wrote a comment. He said, "You are making their point. Most women don't want to work 80 hours a week. You want the position, but you don't want to work for it." All right,
It's
thank
not-
you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
it's
Fatty, for
not
sharing.
just the lifestyle, right? Would you rather be poor and have health problems and not be able to pay for it, or would you rather be decent with enough money and have health problem where you can go into these hospital? And I hear
But
the
it's
US.
not about being poor. You can work a job and you can support yourself. Men, they're greedy, so they want it all.
Ooh,
And us women,
okay.
we can
Wow,
be
wow.
okay with that. We can.
Men want greedy. So if a man's ambitious, he wants to become a millionaire. Does that make him greedy?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's
Even
greedy.
just
That's
the
not-
millionaire
that's not what
status
it
is
says.
just a byproduct of men working hard enough to be able to sustain that lifestyle in a sense.
And the reason why they're able to sustain that lifestyle is because they're not paying their workers enough. The workers that are
I have worked 14 hours for the last 10 years consistently, and I went from a laborer to now a project manager in construction. And I can tell you from the variety of men that I've come across, that is not a real thing. That may happen in very minute number of disgustingly put together companies.
Well, not companies, yeah.
But that's not to say that every company that has succeeded in whatever sector pays their worker ridiculously less than what market demands. There are actual laws that stops employers from doing that.
Is it
The
Chloe?
IRS, the IRS is a big factor. They look into those things at the end of every financial year.
No worries. Thanks, Daniela. Chloe, I know you've been quiet for a little bit. I just wanted to open it up to you. Yeah, I know you've been listening attentively to everybody. What are your thoughts? Chloe, anything you want to add?
No, I just agree with you. You asked the question, or you just made a statement of it's because men chose that work field and women choose that work field. So if a woman chooses a nurse or teacher, that's what they chose. So they're not going to make a CEOs. It's all by choice, and it's all by what you said. If you want to work 80 hours, it's by choice. It comes with whatever it comes with. You want to work as a nurse or a teacher, 40 hours, 50 hours, that's by choice. I understand what you're asking. I'm just listening.
No worries. Ladies, and thank you so much. Man, we just asked one question and we kind of just spiraled all the way, all the way here.
That's how
So
discussions happen. So
Yep. No worries. Thank you. I do want to open it up for the ladies to ask you a question or topic. I started off with you, Lauren. What was your question or topic you wanted to bring up to everybody?
So I had a couple questions, but I think the one I'm probably gonna go with is so I constantly see this discussion of who should pay on a date, and is it a red flag if a woman or a man suggests splitting it or paying in full or so on and so forth. Personally, I don't think it really matters who wants to pay for the date. I don't think it's an issue if you want to split the date. I mean, the check. I also think that maybe if you ask them out, you should like be willing to pay, maybe, but like it also doesn't really matter, in my opinion.
I was literally going to ask that question too, and I had that same thought. Like, sorry, I just wanted to add on.
Okay.
It was just like so crazy to me because I was just thinking that in my head, and I felt kind of the same way. Like, I feel like if a person is asking somebody else on a date, whether it's a guy or girl or whatever, whoever, the person that's asking, I always feel like it doesn't have to be like like an obligation for them to have to pay. But I do think like if you are going to go out of your way to like ask somebody, you should also be willing to pay for them. While at the same time, like depending on like the vibes of the date, I would request either to like split it or like however it goes. Just because, like I said, like I personally never like to feel like I owe anybody anything, especially because I feel like a lot of the time after like first dates, there's some expectations. And so if I kind of make it clear, like, okay, we're going to split the bill, then like there doesn't have to be that expectation, really.
Okay. All right. So your question was just about should men pay for the first date, or what's your question?
Who should pay for the date?
More
should pay?
so like, yeah, like what are your opinions on that? Like, is it, because I've seen some people say it's a red flag when like either men or women ask to split the bill because maybe it promotes them being like stingy with their money or something like that, even though I don't think that's necessarily true. But
okay, I mean, all right. Golden, what's your thoughts about a man paying for the date?
Oh, a man paying? If you offer to take me on a date, I expect you to pay for it. But if the vibes are weird, if I see that you're expecting something, like, you know, some people expect sex after a date or expect certain things. If I see that you're expecting something from me, I'm going to ask to split the bill. So you have no expectations.
Okay, no worries. What about you, Chloe? What's your thoughts about the first date?
If you're asking me to go, I'm expecting you to pay.
Okay.
The only way I'll say half it or pay it myself is if you're giving me weirdo vibes, like creepy, stalkish. Every man's gonna expect something. It's a man. They're gonna expect something. Maybe not that night, but in the future. So if it's a weird, creepy vibe, like, oh, you're giving me stalkerish, then I'll cut it short. But yeah.
Okay. No worries. All right. Daniela, what's your thoughts about men paying for the first date?
Yeah, if it's your idea as a man, you're dating someone, if it's your idea to go on a date, you should pay without expectation. It's part of the process of being dating a potential female that could be your partner for the long term. But yeah, whoever's idea it is should pay the bill 100%. And if the other person's offering to split the bill, then so be it. Up to you to accept or not. But whoever's idea it is to go on a date should pay.
Yeah, I concur with Daniela. Yeah, I think men should pay. And I think a man should pay. Should be if a man is not willing to pay for a date, I think that's also a red flag for a woman. That he's not capable. Yeah. He's not capable financially, because finances.
Like,
what?
Sorry, I was gonna say. So say you ask someone on a date, like you ask a woman on a date, and she offers to pay, and she will not take you. You're not. That's a red flag to you, or. Like,
I would never let the woman that I take out.
But she's like insisting. She wants to.
I'll let her know. I won't.
What if a woman?
What if she doesn't want you to?
Oh, sorry.
I'll let her know I'm paying for the date, or I'll go to the manager and pay, even when she doesn't even know, and the bill's already paid.
I agree with you on
Yeah.
that, because if someone takes me on a date and I'll do this thing where I'll insist on paying, even though you offered, you know what I'm saying? If they allow me to pay, then that's like a no for me. If you just allowed me to pay and you just said you're gonna, that's like a no. So I understand what you're saying.
I mean, as a woman, if a man is not willing to pay to invest his money into you, because that's pretty much what he's doing, is investing it into. If he can't invest financially to afford a meal, a simple meal, like, I mean, for me, it's like, isn't that logically, that's not a practical practical trait from the type of man that you would want. If you can't pay for that, then what else is gonna pay? And especially when you get in a relationship, and especially if you're not have children or families, that's a sign right there that there's going to be a problem. And I always tell men, if you can't afford to pay a woman a date, then don't go on a date. Work on yourself, and then when you're finally able to get to that point. But if you're as a man putting yourself at risk to, taking the money that you should be investing into your rent or your car or the things that you need as a man to sustain your life, and you're doing that on a date, that's just foolish. That's just foolish. So, I mean, you have to be able to tell the difference between the guys who take it seriously, because a guy that is going to take it seriously, and one of the things he will show that he's committed to you, like he's willing to invest financially. Because I'm not going to pay for any random woman that I'm not going to take seriously or I want to pursue something with. All right. Well, Lauren, thank you for that question. Everybody that's watching this right now, let me know your thoughts. Claudio, I see you want to jump on. I'm about to add you on real quick. I'm gonna pass it to I'm gonna pass it to Chloe. Chloe's been silent real quick, so I'm gonna ask Chloe, what's her topic and what's her question? You've been quiet for too long, Chloe.
I don't know if anybody's on Instagram who follows Justin LeBoy.
No, I've never heard of him.
The comment that, or whoever posted, said something about I'm tired of having all this sex and not having orgasms.
Okay.
Having all this sex and not having what?
Orgasms.
Oh.
Like if you've been with your boyfriend or you're dating or whatever, I kind of just want to know, like, what's the, because most of you guys are women on here. Have you had or been in relationships where you really haven't had orgasms?
All right, go ahead, ladies. Go ahead.
I pointed because I see Golden smiling.
If to me, okay, so women and men are naturally sexual beings, but women have to hide it because, social norms. So if I can't do that, or you can't make me feel that way, just like how men do the same thing. If a woman can't make them feel sexually aroused and sexually this, it's not a pick for them. But it's the same thing for women. But I feel like women have to hide it, if that makes sense. Like, if I can't feel that, that means either you're not trying to understand my body, you're not taking the decency to try to understand, because anybody can make somebody do it. You're not trying to get to know my body on that level. You're just trying to fulfill your fulfillments, and that's how I take it.
Okay.
Because it ain't got to be a certain size either. It really doesn't. You don't have to keep hungry. It doesn't have to. I would prefer, but you don't have to have it.
I'm asking because a lot of men really don't understand how many women don't orgasm.
Not much.
Like it's
or like don't know how to make a woman orgasm.
Wait, say it one more time. I'm sorry.
I said more like they don't know how to make a woman orgasm.
Yeah, but yeah. I'm reading the comments, or just you talk with your girlfriends, coworkers, or whoever, women around that you might know. It's more common than people think, but men really are shocked.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about it.
Fake it till you make it. because it's like so common. It's not that, it's just they're not just trying to understand your body. They'd rather feel themselves, because if they care, they would take the decency. Did you feel something? Did that work? Okay, I'll try something else. It's having a conversation as well.
I think
Sure.
also because of the way it's, how do I put it? Kind of like portrayed in the media. I feel like that's the most PG way I could put it. But pretty much when you watch porn, like you see these guys doing some like whack ass moves, just doing like the same stroke, and then the girl, she's like moaning her little heart out, and it's just like, girl, I know you don't feel it. Like, I know you're faking it.
That happened to me one time.
And yeah,
Where
I feel like that's
he
so
got a little
for
too
women
cocky,
too.
because I wasn't feeling nothing. And he got a little too cocky with it. So I just stayed silent. And I'm like, do you want me to fake again? Yeah.
So a question would be like, or tips. Can you give tips to people, to men?
I feel like they would get offended,
everybody-
maybe.
Like what would be a tip? Tips.
Communicate, ask
mhm.
questions during, like ask like, does this feel good? Are you enjoying this? Do you want to like switch positions? Do you want to try something different?
Mhm.
I
I
feel like
disagree with that.
You should be in a male's body while he's having sex. He is not thinking at all.
Yeah,
He is
I've
in
heard
his
that too.
most primal
Yeah.
nature. There will never cross our mind while we're in the act to ask question. We're just in it.
And
Yeah, so see, that's the
Communication
thing.
comes
It's like
after.
you're not thinking about your partner at that point.
Yeah.
which you can't
But-
help, I guess. But
Exactly.
it's a
Women don't think
two-person
either.
party.
And the
Yeah.
thing too,
if a woman
with
is
men,
really
there's only
enjoying herself, during the act,
She's not thinking.
they're not really thinking either. But it's the fact that
Exactly.
they feel good, that they're like up in their head, like, dude, this is uncomfortable, this is painful, I'm not feeling good. Like, he's just going and going and going, and it's just like it's not working out.
Go ahead,
And
Daniela.
and I think it's modern day is helping sort of bridge that gap. For the reason why men don't really understand women is because there's only one way to pleasure a man till he climax, the tip of his penis. That's all you need. Whereas a woman, you've got clitoris, you've got G spot. Some women like anal. You've got A spot. The nipple apparently can make a woman climax. Side of their hip, behind their knee.
The
So
anal
many
for a
different
man
things.
can make him climax too.
yeah, I think that's the main G spot for men, is like in their
It
anus.
is.
It really is.
I know where my prostate is. I know that for a fact. I know how my body works, but no, thank you. Men are the sort of, in the sense, how would I describe this? Only a very selective few would like that sort of. I don't know. What would you call it?
Anal?
Yeah.
You know what the crazy thing is? It doesn't take much to please a woman during sex. So the problem that you can't please during sex is like, it's not, you don't have to do all that. You don't have to rub and just, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't take much.
And
And
usually
I feel
the
like
men
that's
that
also
really
for
know.
dating. That's also for dating. It doesn't take much to please a woman. Just buy her $3 flowers, take her out, have communication, and then you're good. It doesn't take much for sex or relationships.
Yeah, communication is like the whole like premise of like how to make each other feel good, whether it's like man to woman, woman to man, woman to woman. It doesn't really matter what the relationship is. It's like, as long as there's communication, then that's how you know how to like effectively make each other feel good.
And that process is a logical process. Just putting it out there, because the original question is not original question, but the original discussion is men being more emotional. If you tell an emotional man that he's not pleasing you, he's not going to react very logically to that. So,
But
logical men don't act very good to that either. So it has nothing to do with them being emotional. But if you tell him, you are not doing shit, I don't feel anything, get out of me, he's going to lose it. He's going not to know
he's
how
reacting based on emotion. That's not
feel.
logic.
I think it's something that they should be like open to hearing, because if you're not, then that just means that you don't really care about like what I'm feeling during this. You only really care about what you get out of this.
Exactly.
Majority of people who are in good relationship tend to usually explore their sexuality.
Yeah, I mean,
I think if
be-
you
I-
have sex with a woman, she'll understand all your spots. I always say, if you want the best head, go for it. Man, you want the best. It's like it sounds so
Wait.
like
Say
not
that
Wait, we
terrible,
couldn't hear
but
that.
to
What'd you
me,
say?
Say that
if you
again?
want the best head, go to a woman if you're a woman. And if you want the best head, go to a man for a man because you understand all those spots. You understand how
I'm like,
this
what
works.
she say?
I don't know
So
about that.
why don't you just try it?
I don't know about that either.
I'm just saying it'll be the best
No,
sex you ever
It is
had.
true though.
I would say because I mean, I think the quality of the sex does improve if you are in a relationship with somebody. I think one of the issues with a lot of because communication is key. I mean, as a man myself, I would care about if I'm satisfying my woman, and that's something that would be a priority to me, and I will communicate that with her. But that's somebody that I'm going to be in a relationship with for long term. I want to be happy, but I also want to be happy as well. But that will only be a priority for me if I'm with you long term. But today, this is casual sex culture. People are just having casual sex, and so like you're never gonna get to a point where you're gonna sit down with that person, talk about sex transparently and openly if you're not in a relationship. So that only
I think
happens
that-
if you're long term.
Yeah, that I somewhat agree because like obviously when it's like casual sex, you don't really talk about that's kind of like a one and done deal.
You
So
get
in
what you
that
want and you leave.
case, yeah, in that case, it's kind of different. But if you're actually in the relationship with someone, then I would, even if it's something that upsets you, like I'm not saying it in a way to be mean. Like I am trying to get both of us to the place we want to be, and the only way to do that is by communicating.
All right. What's up, Fatty? I know Fatty wanted to jump on.
How are you?
Thank you for all your super chats and your point of views. And I forgot to read your last one. I just want to read that. The person that asked that pay is the same as saying men must pay 30 more steps. Most men ask initiate, just tell they should pay and move on. So, Fatty, do you have anything you want to add on the conversation based on the things you heard tonight?
Right now or the other on the pain thing is just men should pay. Let's move on because telling the one that's asking that men ask all the time. Men ask 98% of the time. So just tell men should pay and no need to tell it in different words just to show other things. When women want to pay really hard, when they know you have money. And I noticed that when I did that, any money, women usually were okay with me paying, but as soon as they see that you have a little bit money, they don't want to look like gold diggers. So they usually push to pay because they know you have money, so they don't want to be in a bad shape. But on this conversation here, I don't think, for once, I disagree with everyone. Men respond well to communication, not women. If you see the movies and the books, most women fantasize like 50 Shades of Grey. Everything is about the man dominating and knowing what he's doing before the woman has to tell him and show him, do like this, do like this, do like this, do like this. So usually women want you to know how to pull their hair, how to spank their ass, how to dominate them before they have to tell you. And if they have to tell you, the pleasure will not be the same. Someone was talking about Reddit a few moments ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On Reddit, there's a subsection called infidelity, where folks that are cheating go tell their stories and how they feel, etc. Most pleasurable sex for women is the taboo sex, the sex with someone that is married, someone that is on a situation that is a little bit complicated. And they even say it's not about the size, it's not about the way that he strokes, it's not about his looks, it's about the thrill of doing something they shouldn't be doing. So if you are having sex with your partner every day, that's one thing. And I think the way you should communicate to don't be rude is like you go watch porn together and you say, I like that move. I like that move like that. I like how he leaks and that. And now that way you can say that you like that without telling your partner you suck at giving head. So do it like this. It's an intelligent way to say it. But in my experience, and I think most women would agree in this panel, the guy that shakes the woman to the core is the guy that knows how to kiss her without she has to tell him how to kiss me, knows how to grab her, to put her on bed, to put her on the shoulder. That's the guy that they love. The guy that knows how to push them and to touch them without they telling. As soon as they need to tell, do like this, and do like this, they, for some reason, they don't become as excited. Men, on the other way, if they tell a woman, hey, I like you to lick me like this and do it like this and ride like this, and if she does it, he's like, okay, cool, that's perfect. Women don't work that way, in my opinion.
All right, no worries. All right, thank you for sharing that, Claudio. I always appreciate it. I do want to bring it to Kaitlyn. You haven't asked your question, right?
Oh, no, I haven't yet.
Okay, yeah. What's your question or topic?
Well, my question was the same one as Lauren's earlier. Do you want to go to Demia first, and then I can come up with another question?
Okay, all right, go ahead. No worries. Golden, go ahead. What's your question or topic?
So my question was, why don't men want to be men anymore?
Why don't what?
Why don't men want to be men anymore?
What do you mean?
What is Can you define a man?
I'm gonna tell you. So what I mean by that, like they don't like to remember how the topic is, and we were talking about how when a woman will have a child, they'll be gone. They don't like to provide. They like to be very ego-based, it's just, how do I say it? It's very different from other generations. And I'm not talking about the generations from when women were at home and the men were in work. I'm looking at it as like, in my family, the men in my family are men. So I expect men to be men. But in this generation, it's more on the harder side because everyone wants casual sex. The males want casual sex. They're in for their pleasures. They don't care for women. They're in for other males' validation. It's like they're not, like, remember how I said they're not doing it to pursue women. They're doing it to pursue men. Like for example, a man will have like, he will like a plumptuous woman, right? She's nice and curvy. But if he sees like his friends like a smaller woman, he'll just start like liking smaller women until that comes in again. It's stuff like that. It's like men, they're not men anymore. They act like children. So I just want to know what happened.
No worries. Claudio, I'll let you answer this question. And I'll let Daniela answer right after.
The short answer is men don't like men because women don't act like women. So if you give us sex without we having to show commitment, if you give us free sex, men usually do what women do. If women started to think that wearing a garbage bag will be sexy, tomorrow everyone will be wearing a garbage bag. If women thought, fat guys are super sexy, you know what happened? All the gyms would be out of business and men would start eating. We do what you demand us to do. 50 years ago, you told us if we wanted sex, we have to provide, we have to marry you, we have to take care of you, having a good job, be responsible, all those things. And what men do? They would work, they would provide, they would take care of their children, all of that. Women change, and when women change, men acted accordingly. Men usually, we all are raised to treat a woman with respect, be a good guy, give her flowers, and then me, Will, and Daniela will sit and we'll see other guy that doesn't do that and treat a woman like shit, get the results, but we don't get it. What do you think men usually do? They would get
that's
stuff.
A low-valued woman.
I'm sorry?
That's a low-valued woman. So as easily said, she would give sex to you, she'll give head to somebody else.
No, women usually.
So is that what they're after now?
No, men usually, women usually. I don't think the way that men move and women move is not the same. Women usually require validation. I have a lot of girlfriends that usually say, and one was telling me a story that she slept with a personal trainer because the guy wasn't even special, but on the room that he was working, he was giving classes. He would give attention to every girl in the room, but she was the hottest, and he wasn't giving any attention. So she, to get attention from him, like just for the fact that he wasn't giving attention to her, she was more inclined to get him, just to prove a point, just to prove that she could do it. Women usually work like that. If you give validation, if you give roses, if you treat her well, if you say good morning, good night, how are you, beautiful, are you a queen, you know what's happened? Women lose interest, but they are far more interested in the guy that doesn't give them validation, doesn't give them good night or good morning texts. And that's the problem. We work to get one thing, sex. Men usually are very driven to what moves them, and it's sex. CEOs, you know why they get CEOs? Because they have money, they get status, and at the end of the day, they get more sex, more women available. Usually, when we do that, we want sex in mind. If you don't require anything from us, we don't work for that because we don't need it.
Okay, no worries. Thank you, Claudio. Daniela, what do you? Why aren't men no longer men no more?
It's the same thing as what Claudio is saying, but I still find men who are quite true to traditional men through my occupation. But basically, what Claudio is saying with the casual sex culture, more women are appealing to what drives a man to commit in the first place, and that is to have access to sex. And if you give out sex openly, then there is no more incentive for men to build good values and to be what was traditionally known as men. You know, the good stoic man who treated his wife with respect and loved her and had children and put good morals and values into them and went out into the workforce and worked his ass off and didn't complain a day in his life. Now that's no longer a value that we have to build. We can rent a couple of good-looking cars, buy a couple of good-looking clothes or whatever, go out to town and flash all those gears, and more often than not, you would leave with a female by the end of the night. So you're getting your access to sex satisfied by just trying to appeal to what women think they like. Whereas traditionally, men had to go through the fathers, and they had to prove to the fathers what values that they could bring so that he could take care of his daughter. So that's why men are no longer men, because sex is so easily accessible. It's no longer limited to what it used to be, sex work.
So majority men of build with women just for sex. That's what you're saying.
Mostly sex.
Like they don't value women.
We value you.
For them being women.
You bearing children is the most honorable thing you could do. And we look at it that, like, we admire the ability that women are able to give birth. Yeah. To raise the next generations of human beings.
I'll see.
Yeah.
So why do they leave once you have their child?
Because you didn't vet them.
You didn't what?
You didn't vet them. What qualities did he display outside of the peacock nature that he gave you that he would stick around?
You judge him for his ability to have sex, but you didn't judge him for his ability to be a great man and to be a protective provider.
Like Daniela said, there's no social contract right now. So in our 50 days, there was a social contract. Okay, I give you this, you give me that, I go talk to your parents, and your parent will vet me. And right now, it's not, the social contract is gone. That's why you guys were talking about women be sexually liberated. Yeah, that's a good thing. Now,
yeah,
when you want to get married and want to have kids, that's a really big problem because the guy doesn't have to stick around. He just can have sex and then go to his life.
Yeah.
All right. No. So thank you for sharing that, Daniela and Claudio. And my response to that, to your question, Golden, I pretty much align with everything that Claudio and Daniela said. And I think this one statement would just like summarize everything. You know, today modern women, they want a traditional man, but they don't want to be traditional women, right? So that's the problem. Is you guys want a traditional man, a provider, protector, a masculine man, thinks with logic, responsibility, take care of you, provide for you, right? But then everything we talked about in the beginning of this podcast, you know, he can cry. You know what? He shouldn't be a man. He can act like a woman. You know what? As a woman, I want to go have the promiscuous sex with multiple partners. I want to go do this and do that. You're doing all the things that our grandparents never did. That's why our grandparents got wifed up, because they had higher value of themselves. They acted like traditional women. Now, if you talk to men, most men, especially men who are very masculine, I'll talk about the simps, the beta, the feminine men. But most masculine men, we want a traditional woman. Now, what the problem is today for a lot of men out there is like the marketplace today, the women are no longer traditional. So every single woman out there is having sex. Every single one that's becoming hoes, starting OnlyFans, being
So are you like
promiscuous.
looking for a virgin? I don't really understand.
I didn't say
no,
a
no.
virgin.
That's an extreme. It's an extreme.
Look. I didn't say a virgin. I just said traditional women who acted and behaved that our grandparents did. Women who were very feminine, women who wanted to reserve their sexuality for one. They didn't want to go out there and sleep with countless.
That's like religious based though.
It's not
It's
not
religious. If she had sex with one person, wait, if she had sex with one person.
Let me finish and then I'll allow you guys to jump on.
Okay.
Right. Like I'm just saying is everything you guys, like I said, you guys all see like what you said, why aren't men no longer men no more, right? And you're comparing it to the men in your family who are a little bit older, so they come from a different generation. So those men came from certain standards and values, and the women they dated had certain traditions and values they held by that these women today are no longer behaving in a way. So like Claudio said, if you want a traditional man, you have to be a traditional woman. You cannot say, I want a provider, protector, I want a masculine man, I want a strong man, I want a man that's going to be loyal to me, but you want to go out there and be opposite of that. So that's, like I said, that's why the men are no longer being men no more. It's because, like I said, the women, you guys control the sexual marketplace. If you dictate everything how men behave, because like I said, I'm gonna be real, men want sex and men will do anything and behave accordingly to get access to sex. And because you guys have changed the standards when it comes to sex, because the women, our grandparents' time, they had standards. They wanted you to meet their father. They wanted you to come from a good family. They wanted to reserve their sexuality for that one man that they're going to marry for the rest of their life. They had a sense of duty and responsibility. You know what? When I marry a man, that's going to be my man. I'm gonna make sure this relationship is going to work, and we're going to build a great family. Now, women, like I said, that's not the mentality of women today. A woman who can marry a man today, right now, 80-90% of divorces are initiated by women. So that's the reality. So for a lot of men out there, the whole sexual game and marketplace and the way marriage is totally different. The dynamics are different. The women are different no more. So that's why you don't see the majority of men not acting that way. And that's why I'm a big advocate of women being very selective and vet these men. I tell women all the time, I tell my siblings, my sisters all the time, take your time and vet these men. Do not give up sex. Do not give up your sex to any random men, or just if you meet them for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. I would tell them, look, spend a date them for a year. Because like I said, there's a big risk to it. And that's what they did. But if you don't want to follow that and you want to live by your own choices, the risk is meeting a loser, meeting a bum, meeting a guy that's going to leave you. But if you spend time with vetting these quality men, because the right man for you, the quality man that's right for you, he will do everything he needs to do to be with you, to commit to you, to show you that he wants to take it seriously for you, whether you want to give up sex or not. So because he wants to be with you. And if a man's willing to walk away from you and because you didn't want to give up sex, that clearly showed his intentions that he just wanted to smash and leave. But if a man's willing to wait and give, you know what, she has standards, she wants to take her time, okay. But the thing is, the very things that you guys want, you guys are not willing to put in the work and become. And that's why a lot of, to answer your question, that's why men are no longer men no more.
I think it's even worse, Will. I think when women ask for men to be modern, like the man that is feminist, imagine that you have a man that every time you go to the shop, It's 50-50. You are cold. Oh, last time I gave you the jacket, so now give me the jacket right now on this time. Oh, somebody is going to break to the house. I went there last time, so now you go. If you the man that is going to be 50-50 with you is the man that you are going to grow resentful of him, because he's not going to do the traditional stuff that you usually like. And when you push for the man to be like that, the more you are creating the man that you usually hate. You see, that's problematic, and the snowball effect continues.
Yeah, I have a
Go ahead.
couple of things. So I don't really I'm not looking for an alpha man like that or a traditional man. I don't think that really matters to me. So I don't really have any comments on that. I did have comments, Claudio, something you said the last time you spoke, not this time. You said something along the lines of, if women said they wanted this, then every man would be doing that. Like if, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
I think that's more so tied into what the media is portraying as what we should find attractive, which goes into how women think they should look because that's all we see, and how what men think they should look like because that's all they see. It doesn't necessarily mean that's what women, well, obviously since we see it, that's kind of what we're conditioned into thinking, but that's more so a fault of society and media, not necessarily women in general. And then also with that, you said something about treating women like with respect and, you know, queen, baby, I love you, flowers, this and this and that, that if you do that, then they won't like you. But if some alpha male man is treating her bad or whatever, she'll go after him because she likes the thrill of it. I think that just means you're with the wrong person. It just shows their intentions, and that's it. It doesn't necessarily apply to a whole, because a lot of women would love the respect and the showering of affection and so on and so forth, because if that's what you want to do, if that's how you express your emotions and love and for them and so on and so forth, if someone you're with doesn't like that, then you are clearly with the wrong person.
Yeah, because she doesn't really want you. She just wants to see if she can get you. She's not interested in like something like that as much as you're not interested in something like that. She just wants your money and sees if she can get you. But most women would like a traditional, like mine. He buys me flowers. He takes me out. There's stuff. He opens the door. He has to do those things. Or if he doesn't do those things, then I'm not going to be there.
Can I say something that I usually say to my colleagues?
Claudio.
This is the biggest problem that women need to understand, and that men are starting to understand now. The checklist that you want on your life, the house, the kids, the car, the trips, is what makes you happy. That's not what makes you wet. So women don't understand that what makes them wet is not the same thing that makes them happy. And because they are usually emotional pimps, they are going to go to the guy that pushes their emotions and not their logic brain. So when you say, oh, I would like to be treated with respect and give flowers, etc., you're talking about Christian Grey, the beast that can be like the bad guy, that can be a good guy and treat you well. If I go in front with being a good guy, usually I will get to the friend zone. It's not about woman giving me, wanting me for something else. It's about results. And men are results driven. If they see, if I text you really fast and every time you call me, I say, hey, how are you? And I start to notice that every time I take like 2 hours or 3 hours to text you back, you're interested in me results. That's what men are going to do, because they are focused on the result. They are not focused on the process. They just want to get there. And if why men lie? Oh no, I want a real connection with you, and I was celibate, just to get the results. They don't lie because they are bad people per se. They lie because they want the results. And when you say the media, is not the media, it's woman. Women control the floodgates. And you know why women are so quick to call sluts other women that are promiscuous? Because they are a threat to the men you want. If 95% of the women, imagining 100 women, 95% of women were good person who would have, let's say, 5 partners, which is low in this time. 5 partners wanted commitment, etc. And 5 women were promiscuous and were sluts. You know what the 95 women will do? Will shame them to death, because those 5 women will be ruining everything to the 95 women that are doing the things right. Because they are pulling your price down, and now you have to compete with that woman. Now you have to get the BBL. Now you have to post booty shots on Instagram, and that's the problem. It is the competition. Guys can be goody. They can be honest. They can be. The media can say whatever you want. The problem is on women, because even with men, if 95% of the men on the village are good, and 5 of those guys are bastards, if women believe them, it only takes, usually the baby daddies have like 1, 2, 3, 5 guys can make 15 kids that are going to grow without parents. And 95% of them are good. But women usually are pulled to those guys. So if we men can control them, you guys have to do it. That's the thing. You control the floodgates. If you can control the floodgates, we can do nothing, because I can say, yeah, we need to do better. We need to do better. We need to do better. My neighbor doesn't think like me, and he's going to screw up for everyone. So you need to control that.
All right, no worries. No worries. Thank you so much for sharing. Chloe, I always want to include you because I know you're always quiet. Anything you want to add on?
I think that this discussion was a perfect example of what Kaitlyn was saying, of why modern men, or men today, aren't willing to settle or be husbands or be, who women are looking for. But Will said it, and I kind of said it in the beginning. Women will not take the time to understand how a male thinks. So why I'm quiet is because when Will, is it Daniela?
Daniela.
And Claudio. We're speaking, instead of understanding why they thought the way they thought, why they think the way they think, why they said the way they, or why they said what they said, and asking questions based around that. The women on the panel just jumped right ahead to say, no, well, that's a prime example of why things, or why modern society of relationships don't work, because women aren't willing to understand the way a man thinks. That's not meaning a woman is weak. You have to get to know the way a man thinks, period. Whether if it's sex, cheating, looking at other women, money, anything. Understand first. Ask questions. Why? Why do you think that way? Why this? It's like school. You've got to learn. And that's why men look for the wives who really take time to understand how they think. They need some place to be safe, to come home to. And I'm not talking about a house. I'm talking about here. If a man's not feeling safe to come home to being vulnerable and communicating, and a lot of women don't show that these days. So
I think the communication goes both ways.
Son,
like,
where'd you find this?
Because you say that like
Chloe.
we were so eager to just attack instead of listening. But I think we were listening and also trying to explain our side while listening to their side. It goes back and forth. That's how discussions work. There is no other way around it. I think if we just listen and then we have no way to actually get our point, like try to explain our side or try to better understand them, because if we don't ask questions, then there is just, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then it's just
How
one
can you
side
understand?
stating opinions as like fact or whatnot. And we put input so that we can hear feedback on the things that we say as well.
Mhm.
No, real quick, Claudio. Ladies, I would recommend that, for you guys, when after this podcast, to rewatch the podcast, right? The one thing that, if you notice, if you watch this, right, whenever you guys talk about your wants, your needs, of what you expect out of men, I don't disagree with you. I will never disagree with what a woman wants, and her expectation, her standards, what she wants out of a man. The problem, if you've watched this podcast, but whenever we expressed our standards of what we want, our standards of what we need, That's what she said. You guys were quick to disagree.
You shouldn't like that. You
So
shouldn't
I don't
like
know.
that.
So she asked. She said, "Ask." So all of you guys were disagreeing with what we as men, but we don't disagree with you as women, like what you guys want. Because I agree, that's what you guys want. I understand that you guys, the women there's differences between men and women, but the problem with today modern society is that women want the men to be what they want instead of what the men want.
How they are, how men
So-
are, or how men are.
I think the whole
we
issue is just
are-
that men, like the issue is the fact that we're trying to express that men don't have to be what men think men are just because that is what you
we're
were
telling you.
conditioned into
But
thinking.
they're
That's
not.
the
But
thing.
they're not acting. That's who they are. Women can't accept that. They're not
I think
listening.
I mean, I
That-
am listening.
You're
Yeah.
disagreeing. You're
Yeah,
disagreeing.
but you
But if you
disagree.
if,
That's the
but
thing.
if,
Disagree.
if you hear the podcast, you go back.
I will
When
go back.
When Will was saying what he was saying and the men were saying what they were saying, the conversation just drifted into like, I'm like, wait,
I
the
mean,
point
conversations
was-
do drift. That is how
That's
conversations
that
work.
picks it up.
which,
I'll just say this for men.
which is fine, but her question was, why do modern men aren't the husbands that we look for, that women look for? And that's why, because you're not fully listening to understand the way a man thinks.
I
It's
mean,
hard for women
honestly,
to
when I
accept
can't
it.
speak for the other panelists, but when I was commenting just not on the question that she asked, but on certain things that Claudio asked, was speaking about, because I was just trying to point out certain things about that, like him making generalizations that are based on things bigger than just women, literally media portrayal, which is a prevalent issue that also messes with women's portrayal of themselves and also men's portrayal of women and their portrayal of themselves. It wasn't necessary. That's just the comment I had. But like I said, I don't know if you're speaking about all of us in general or in particular or
Yeah.
so on and so forth, because I don't remember necessarily what the other panelists said. But for me specifically, it was not, I wasn't even really a part of that conversation. I was just commenting on two things that he had mentioned about that.
As
and
when you
well
trying to-
as when they were speaking, there was no disagreements. I never heard,
No.
well, for me to disagree, I was listening and I was asking questions. In order to learn, you have to ask those questions to understand what they're talking about and why. So there was really no disagreements, like what you're saying is wrong. That's not how men should be, because I can't speak for a man because I'm not a man. So there was, you know what I'm saying? It was just
I
questions
think
that we were
we-
asking to know what
I
they're
think we
talking
are
about.
not talking about the same thing here.
Yeah.
Uh,
We're not.
we are being civil and we are exchanging ideas. That's not a problem. The problem usually is that society nowadays is pushed towards the woman view. You see, how can you cheat without feelings involved? Oh, you shouldn't do that. Men usually, let's go back to the CEO conversation.
I mean, men and women both cheat, so I don't really.
Yeah, both cheat usually for different reasons. And that's it. And when men say, I don't have any emotional ties to her, for me, it was just go there, finish my business, and then go to the woman that I love and then I will die for. Woman will fight me on that. When we are explaining, usually that's what happens. You see, that's not that we are not saying that it's like a reflex, you know. And now I'm going to tie it back to the CEO conversation. Why men are mostly CEOs and women are not? Men are incentivized to get money, because if me as a man get money, I will get everything that comes. I will get respect from my peers. I'll get the woman that I want, and I will get the life that I want. When women go to that position, men are not more attracted to her just because she's a CEO. Her peers, someone respect him, but a lot of them hate her because she's on that position. So it's not the same incentive. It's really not. So usually women and men push to get the result that they want. And what the problem in this conversation is not that we are fighting over each other. It's because when women say, I like a man that is tall, is fit, the men take the notebook and say, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. But when men say, please don't post booty pictures on your Instagram, it's not because you are promiscuous, it's because you are giving the look that you are. And you are going to, and women usually instead of say, oh, let me take the notebook, and no, they want to fight you because of that. And that's what we are saying. It's not that you won't listen, it's that you usually listen, and then you want to fight us on our position when we are explaining. We are giving you the manual, how the man works, and instead of you reading it, I say, okay, let me pull these microwaves. Okay, door like this. No, I want this to be a heaven. I need this to be a heaven. You see, that's the problem in this conversation.
I think my main thing is that it just.
Go, Lauren, and
okay, I'll come back to you.
I was just gonna say that my main thing is that I just feel like the main issue in a lot of things is you are quite literally just with the wrong person. Like I just think that you're just like with people who don't listen to you, who don't like care for what you want, and so on and so forth. And then you just tie it to a generalization of all women when you have just been dating people who
you are doing it right now. You are doing it right now.
Please elaborate. Please elaborate.
And I'll just use that example that you just said about generalization, right?
Yes.
Then you cannot make the argument about media influencing the general mass. Because if we're all so individualistic, then we cannot blame media for influencing women to look the way that they do and men to have the standards that they do. That's why he's making a generalization. It's the same aspect. So if you want to go do you want to go the mass media influence, or do you want to go down we're unique to our own selves and he's dealing with
I think that it just the media portrayal will always be an issue no matter what, and that will continue to be an issue, and it always has been throughout history. Like it just has been the way it has, and I think that's just something that is locked into society, and that may or may not be true. But like I said, if you are with someone who you don't want to post booty pics and they're still posting booty pics, then clearly there is something that you guys don't see eye to eye on.
It was an example. It wasn't literal. And you see what was your response? I am 32 years old. I was poor. I had money. I was fit. I was not. I travel a lot. I didn't travel. I went on a bus. I had many cars. And I'm giving you my experience, how women usually react if I do this, how usually women react if I do that. Am I saying that all women do this? No, even in my life, when I was 25-year-old, women look at me for certain things. Now I'm 30 and women want to get married, want to have kids, and now they want a good guy. They want respect. They don't want the bad boy. They don't want it real. They want.
I mean, everyone's different. So obviously everyone's going to want different things from you.
Yeah. But the thing...
Wait, Kaitlyn.
We're losing
Kaitlyn, what's your age?
Me?
Is she in here? Yes. What's your age?
21.
Lauren, you're like in
21.
You see?
That's why it is. You guys are like 30s, and we're
just from a different generation.
So look, ladies. The one thing I would say is, because we're going to conclude it. I understand right now you're young, right? But I think Chloe can understand this. When you're young, you don't think about these things what we're talking about right now. But when you get to 30, you will start to notice, and your needs as a woman from the man that you want will start to change. Right now, like I talked about before, in the beginning, I asked you.
I mean, if someone, everyone changes.
Let me finish. In the beginning, I asked you, like, look, would you require a man to work and have financial stability if you were pregnant? You said no. That's fine. But I'm telling you right now, as you get older, your perspective of how you see dating and what it requires will change. And the thing is, for men, for what we want, it's still going to be the same, right? So it's just, but like I said, I'm not. It's just you. The age gap, I would consider that, because you guys see right now, you guys are young, but when all these things that we're talking about right now, all the things that you should be looking for from a man, you're gonna start to realize that as you get older.
I mean, there's no problem because all three of us are in relationships. So I think we're
But it's not
great.
even because of that. It's not even because of that. women are drowned in so many options. They have so many options just for going to Instagram that they don't even have to reflect. They just have to reset their system, reboot it, and go to the next guy and try to do the same. But when the options are starting to get low,
as you get older,
when you want the commitment and not just, I'm going with a good spirit and see what I'm going to take from there, your expectations and your standards are going to change. And that's the thing. If I had 100 options, I don't care. If you don't do what I want, I will get another one. And if the one, but when the options start to dwindle down, and when you start to understand that the men that want to sleep with you are not the same men that want to have a relationship with you, it's usually at 30 that women start to understand that, because they have 50 guys that are on the DMs trying to hit, but when they want the relationships, only 3 or 4 want to be with you really on the. When they start to understand that, then all the game change, all the game plan usually changes. You are young, so usually you are living in abundance, but when the abundance starts,
I think a lot of even young people experience that as well, where people don't want to date and they just want to fuck. I don't really think that's based on an age thing.
Yeah, and then you ask why men aren't being men. Like,
our generation is literally in the hookup culture. So I don't want to say it's an age thing, because that's our generation. Your generation was more, like you said, had standards. Our generation doesn't really have that. So I don't think it's an age thing.
When I was young, 9 partners as a woman and a man was a lot. If I said, I slept with 20 people, he's a ladies' man. Right now, kids in high school are doing that. It's the 10 years when we had i5 and Forowaki and Messenger, the world has changed. Social media changed the world and changed women too.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna, man, this discussion was great. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to conclude the podcast right now. Ladies, I just want to say thank you so much. I told you guys this podcast, we're gonna have some real deep conversations, and we actually did. And we had a lot of different views, but like I told you guys before, I believe that this conversation is much needed. It's a conversation people avoid in real life. And a lot of people don't even have these conversations their whole life, and that's why a lot of people struggle. So I think it's necessary to hear from both sides. Ladies, I want to ask you real quick, just give you a quick thought of what you thought about, what's your take on tonight's podcast, and how can, if people want to find you, they're watching live right now, they want to find you, support you, plug in your social media information so people can find you. I'll start with you, Golden. What was your take, and how can people find you?
It was very interesting. I got to see how I got to see how the older generation views romantic partners, and how it contradicts how we view it, because we're in the generation. So we get to learn from your perspective as well, and how we can intake it on our generation. Other than that, it was a really good discussion. My social media, you can follow me on TikTok at golden0222, and also Instagram at golden0, and YouTube at golden0.
All right, thank you for jumping on. All right, Kaitlyn, what was your take, and how can people find you?
I thought it was really insightful. I really enjoyed how we were all able to talk about everything that we were feeling, and I really appreciated how, like, when there were moments of overlap, it didn't feel like anybody missed out on being able to talk, because it was kind of that, like, the conversation was very well directed, and even though we didn't agree on certain things, we're still able to, like, move forward in the conversation. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok. It's going to be Low Hollow Flow. It's LOWHOLLOWFLOW. Thank you for having me.
All right. No worries. Thank you so much, Kaitlyn. Thank you. Lauren, what was your take, and how can people find you?
I liked it. I typically like discussions in general, especially about things that are like differing views, because I mean, that's just life. So there's no avoiding it. I do appreciate Claudio Tanella. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
You said it the first time you said it well.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
I don't know. And Will, thank you guys for your insights. And even though we may or may not have been effectively conversing or not, I still appreciated it. My Instagram is Rendarko. That's RENDARKO. Thank you.
All right, no worries, no worries. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Chloe, what was your thoughts and how can people find you?
I liked it. I like stuff like this. You know, people will learn off of each of us. People will resonate with each of our stories. So I really like this, and thank you all for having me. My Instagram and TikTok is lifecoach.chloe, CHLOE, and that's how you'll find me.
No word. Thank you so much. And Daniela, Claudia, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure for jumping on the podcast. And Claudia, thank you so much for your super chat donations. Everybody that's watching this right now, thank you so much. We do this every single weekend, every single Saturday. Please, I'm gonna drop all their social media panels on this video in the description below. If you want to follow them, go ahead. I'm sorry you can't pursue them because they're all in relationships. Usually, I have single ladies, so you can DM. but you can't send your DMs, fellas, because they're all in relationships. So stay away from that. But nevertheless, thank you so much, ladies, and thank you for expressing your opinions and agree to disagree. And just thank you for just conversing, continuing on the conversation. And much love to you guys. And you guys all have a great night. Stay blessed, y'all.
Thank
Peace.
you.